see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body full of tats.
So
Rob never has his on. He doesn't want to see him in skivvies.
Yeah, we don't want Rob there. So
I'm in professional dress wear.
I always dress
like I need to run into the office. That's what it is.
There you go.
So I mean,
he's showing us.
I'm being perfectly honest.
Hi. Floating.
Yeah, your camera just sucks ass.
Yeah.
What, are you poloed up?
He's still on that 144p situation.
You polo or you full on button up?
No, jeans. It's casual, business casual.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Friday casual stuff. I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wear a uniform to work every day.
Yeah, as long as I wear pants as long as I wear pants, underwear, and a shirt, and I know I'm ready to be in a mindset.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of work, I have a bit of an issue currently at my job, and it's not about my actual job. It's about an aspect of my job, and normally we have a fleet of vehicles, and I drive the same vehicle throughout the week, except on the weekends where someone else has it for some stupid fucking reason. And I came in last Tuesday to find my cup holder almost completely smashed. Like it's like a, vacuum molded plastic, small cup, big cup thing. And came in to find the cup holder smashed in half on the big cup side, and my parking brake like all askew. So I don't know who the fuck drove my truck. I actually do know who drove my truck, but I want to know what the fuck they did, because like, one, the parking brake is held on by a large metal bracket, so I don't know how the fuck he managed to break that. Secondarily, I can't now have a normal size bottle of water or Gatorade or a cup of anything in my fucking cup holder anymore, because anytime I just hit the gas in the truck, it just goes flap and it falls on the floor, and then I have to, do a panic stop and try to retrieve my fallen drink. It's the small things.
Sounds to me like they might have been doing some dirtiness inside your truck and trying to get a good foot grip and fucked it up.
Did you take a black light to it just in case?
No, I would never do. Given the people in my job, I definitely would never do that. One guy was fired many years ago for a similar situation that you were referring to, outside of a Dollar General on his lunch break.
Yes.
And can we preface that a Dollar General is literally the best pickup spot location naming? If you're going to pick up somebody, pick them up at Dollar General.
Yeah. So apparently, she worked there, and he delivered there. So, nice. Things happen. But I will say his wife was far more attractive than the woman he had in the back of that truck. So,
either way, your white really pops on the uniform, though.
Oh, God damn. Either way. So I think there seems to be a lack of respect here, because one, you broke it. Two, you didn't write it up so that they would fix it. And three, you didn't tell me you broke my fucking cup holder. And it's one of those underrated things. It's like, okay, so the truck doesn't start. Cool. We don't use the whole truck. We go do something else. Oh, hey, it gets a flat tire. You replace the tire. No big deal. You roll on. Fucking cup holder.
Question for you. If you get a flat tire, you have to get out and change it, or they have?
Oh, no. You call a service person, or they come and tow it. No, there would be no physical way. Like it's not like we have a jack on board or something like that.
That's why I was asking. I didn't know how.
No. Usually, if it happens like that, you are at the building, generally speaking, and you have one of the mechanics look at it.
Gotcha.
But in this case, and the funny thing is, a friend of mine who used to work with us hit me up, ironically, on Friday, and asked me where he could get those cup holders, because he's getting a new truck for his tool selling job, and he wants that cup holder. So it's like a big kind of smack in the face, like, hey, do you know where I can get those? What company makes the actual trucks, so that I can actually order that separately? And I'm like,
you should get your job to order you a new one and then give him the broken one and be like, hey, it's free, dude.
Yeah, that would be funny if I had any control over that. Unfortunately, I don't know. What he's doing is he's spec ordering his truck from that company, and then he's going to special order the cup holder to be installed from the other company. So he just be like, ship it here to do that.
I mean, there are certain sizes for certain things. If you're going to put the 20-gallon jug in, it's only going to fit one way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like, and it's not the best cup holder in the world. There's other ones that are slightly better.
But it's one you're used to, and it holds what you drink. So,
well, not even that. It's like, it's just the fact there is nowhere else to put a drink. Like, it's like, because I drink the larger bottles of water.
No other seats.
Yeah,
that's all right.
So I drink a larger bottle of water. If you have a big cup of coffee, say like, you know, Arctic mug or something like that, they do at least have the cutout so the handle can stick through. So that is always a handy thing and not available on every cup holder.
Nope.
And not even in other normal vehicles. Like some of them don't have that availability, or they make the base too small. So it's like, it's good enough for like a Coke can or something, but you try to put a Arctic mug, even like the 20 ounce in there, and it doesn't fit because the shape of the base is a certain way, you know?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know.
You always look out on Marketplace for like, you know, recycled kids' car seats with the and just put that on the passenger side. I mean, those are no passenger
side. That's what I'm saying. His truck only has the jump seat.
Well, I mean, there is, but you'd have to work around it the whole time. Plus, there's no way to reach it while drinking, you know, or driving, I should say.
Fair enough.
But
drinking and driving, kids, it's where it's at.
Yeah. So like some of the other old trucks had them like high up on the dash, like right next to the gauge cluster and all that kind of stuff, like on the flat part. So you have the forward reach. Now this one is actually lower. It's down on what we call the doghouse. If you've ever driven a vehicle that you access the engine from inside. So I think what happened was he dropped something heavy on it without meaning to, because I don't see any other way that it would get hit by anything to smash it. Like this is the thing. It's like it's not like you like maybe raged on it or something. It's like, once again,
clearly you've never met Big Bertha.
we have a Bertha.
Yep.
Well, the truck is called Bertha. There's not a person named Bertha. No, the largest vehicle in our fleet we refer to as Berthas. Like it's just, they're the 26-foot box trucks. Gotcha. So you know those things.
People don't realize, like you said, it's the little things that really can just kind of shit your grits up. Like, you know, I work in a kitchen, so I know it sounds dumb, but like you go to the knife block, we have a, you know, hang on the wall.
Oh,
the knife
God,
block.
yeah.
You go grab a knife and it's not there, and you spend 10 minutes walking around the kitchen because some asshole left it laying on a counter and then covered it up with multiple fucking things until you find the knife that you need. 100%. That's kind of a pain in the ass, and it kind of fucks up your flow. And
well, Jessica does that in our kitchen. She'll put, because she doesn't cook, she doesn't do anything really. So I know it sounded worse than I meant it to, but I meant in the kitchen she doesn't do anything.
She
really.
Doesn't do shit.
So I do all the cooking, so therefore the cook should determine where the utensils are, right? First order of retrievability. She'll put shit nowhere near where I put it. And then when I go to make something, it's like, where the fuck are my tongs? Or where the fuck are where's the trivet? You know, I got a fucking hot pot in my hand. Like, where the fuck is my trivet? You know, stuff like that. Or one thing that really annoys me, she keeps putting my universal refillable K-cup thing.
Okay.
In the fucking utility drawer instead of on top of the fucking K-pod holder. I was like, baby, it goes right here. Why the fuck do you keep putting it in the drawer? Stop it. Which that'll play into something that happened in my week. But yeah, that's just been on my mind every day, because especially today, because I forget, I take the weekend off and I completely forget. I get to work and I'm like, fuck, I have this stupid broken cup holder to deal with. And I have the large bottles of body armor water, like the big motherfuckers. And if it's a smaller one, I can put it in the other spot. The other spot.
Shit, those motherfuckers sell for crack prices around here right now, man.
Oh yeah, because you guys are going to be short on water here shortly.
Yeah, already.
Yes, Rikki has an incoming event for his entire state. So, and it's not the RNC. So
yeah, it's not this time.
Not this time. So either way, guys, welcome back to episode 27 of the Now You Made It Awkward podcast. I am Shoky. You can follow me at all these Shoky related things down in the description below, and over here I do have Dormammu.
Hi, kids.
And you can follow him, and you can follow him here because he doesn't do anything else.
Except for say creepy shit like that.
Yeah, he does. He makes weird memes, but that's only for us. It's not a public thing.
He makes the best memes.
There you go. I make pretty good memes too. But also, you got Rikki as well.
What's going on, y'all?
And you can follow the work he does for Nerd Rage Radio on Facebook, where he puts together their promo videos, which he does a really good job on, considering he does it all on his phone. And you can also Yep, and you can also find him on the Realm Hatton Project on Friday nights on the Realm of Collector YouTube channel. I left off the S there, but that's okay.
9 p.m.
Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right. The only time that really matters.
And down below as well are links to Mike's socials and website and all that kind of stuff. And you can also find our website where you can buy our merch. You can go buy stuff from the NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail store. Please do. We need money.
I'm gonna tell you, I was gonna sneak in and buy a doof shirt, and I couldn't find that motherfucker on there.
Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't find it.
It's either not user friendly, or I'm just retarded, or maybe it's some of column A, some of column B, because I could not find that doof shirt. I was gonna do it as a joke and just pop on here on video wearing it.
Which is funny because like I can see it, I can get to it. So I mean, it's there, and I went through the store. It's in there, so you must have just missed it.
I went through whatever that one link was, and that link just had a bunch of whatever the new Chinese writing, Japanese.
Yeah, you just got to keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Oh, it might. Oh, wait. It might be. It might not be under its own link. It might be under the NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail stuff.
So you have to go check that out.
That's probably what it is. So if you look at it, like there's a section where for basically NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail merch, like with the normal logo. So if you click on that, it'll have a whole bunch of stuff under it. I think the doof stuff is under there, which might be why you can't see it. So there you go. For future reference, guys. If you can't find it, that's probably where it's at.
Keep looking.
Yes, keep looking by all means. And guys, of course, if you missed it, we just did a top 5 episode where we went over our top 5 TV show themes, by live action TV show themes.
And I came up with about 20 more after we got off.
Yeah, of course, of course. So we'll have to do that again. We'll have to do another top 5 where we don't repeat ourselves. And of course, let's go ahead and start out with comments and emails, which should be fairly simple because outside of the top 5, we didn't have that many. We had one comment on episode 25. That's the fame versus mental health, why are stars breaking down. And this one was actually hidden because they put a hashtag in it. But I actually checked into it. It's a legit thing. It wasn't spam. And it's from Byron Summers. It says, "Hi, keep at the work." I assume that means keep up the work. From what you said, I think you might be interested in this channel, Dr. John Aking. I find him informative yet down to earth. So he's a psychologist and therapist. So I looked it up. It's a legit channel. It wasn't a thing. So, I might look into that, just see what's going on there. Because, we've talked about mental health a few times on here and relationships and ships. It's either a boat or it sinks.
Is that the only one you got from that episode?
Yeah, oddly enough, I think that was the only comment we got.
Okay. Before you move on, then I have a little story I want to tell, and I've been waiting till all of us were on here at one time to be able to tell you all this.
Okay.
So it's a small part of my week, but I'm just gonna jump it in here because I want to make sure Dormammu's around for it too, because it's important to me. Both of y'all get to hear this.
Sure.
Right. We had the Zoom meeting this past weekend.
Oh yeah, I missed it.
Yeah, which was weird because it was on a Saturday. Bobby had to work Sunday, so he bumped it to Saturday.
Yeah.
But the Zoom meetings, y'all have heard us talk about them before. I can't go into too many details because there's a hard rule of what happens in the Zoom meeting stays in the Zoom meeting. So yes. I'm not going to mention any names. But those of you that are members will be able to follow and track. But we got done with the Zoom meeting, and then per usual, Bobby had to get off, and per usual, we kept it going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the guys that was in there hadn't been around for a while. And as it slowly started, people started weaning off and stuff. I don't like when I'm friendly with people, I don't like to try to put them on the hot seat in front of other people, especially if I'm gonna ask them something personal.
Sure.
And so when it weaned down to literally it was just me and him, I finally asked him, I was like, "Hey, yo, what the fuck happened to you? You just straight up disappeared. You were there one day and just gone the next." And no word, no nothing. We didn't know what was going on. And he kind of told me his story. And he taking care of issues, kind of like along the subject matter we were talking about on our show.
You realize you could tell us what it is, and I'll just bleep it.
You already know who it is because he posted about it in the he posted about it in the Discord for the Patreon.
Oh, I might have missed it then.
Okay. I'll send it to you. In fact, I'll send it to both of you so you can both see it. But what it boiled down to was he had fallen into a little hole, dealing with stuff mentally and.
I thought you meant literally.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Like mentally.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought you literally meant that.
And he said stuff got really dark,
Okay.
And that's personal business and all that stuff. But this is the part that I wanted to make sure both of y'all were here for. He said, "You'll never guess what brought me out of it." And I was like, "What's that?" He said, "The Now You Made It Awkward episode when y'all were talking about the state of mental health with actors." He said, "Y'all were talking, and you were hitting a lot of notes with stuff that I was dealing with." And he said, at one point in time, he said, "I can't remember if it was you or the other co-host." He doesn't know. Rob. He doesn't know Dormammu that well. So he said the other co-host. Right. And he said, "But one of y'all said, remember, even when you're like," or I'm paraphrasing, "when you're in your darkest spot, just reach out and talk to somebody, because somebody will listen." And that is one of the hardest things to remember to tell yourself, is that you can talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
He said, one of y'all said that, and he said things just started clicking into place. And I reached out and I talked to somebody, and it got me coming back out of my shell. I got back in here. I'm back now. And he said, "I just wanted to thank you guys, because that made a lot of difference. Even though y'all were talking about something specifically about crazy people in Hollywood, it reached out to somebody who has nothing to do with that, and you still kind of said things that I needed to hear." So I wanted to make sure both of y'all were here to hear that. That made me feel good, like, just as a person, that just us on here, spouting our nonsense, and talking from our own personal experiences.
I'm glad that somewhere in the randomness of the internet, somebody actually found something out of it, and we appreciate that. We do. Yep. Even if it's not a comment, we appreciate it. And I'm glad that personally, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I've had far too many friends that have
gone the other way,
that have reached that point and then gone the other way, and it's not it's hard. It's very hard. And so I'm glad that was a great story, Ricky.
Yeah. But he does listen, so I want to give a shout out to him. He knows who he is. Reach out and talk to us if you ever need to, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once again, you could tell us, and I can just bleep
it doesn't matter. But then if you forget to bleep it, then it becomes a whole big thing. You know who I'm talking about, and if not, I'll hit you up in private.
Yeah.
Because I'll ask him and make sure he's cool with it, because he had like a little he put like a note in the group when he first came back, and he sent it to me because I couldn't find it either. So I'll ask him if it's cool, and I'll share it with you guys. But it was really
I see it right here, actually.
Yeah. It felt it felt weird, but in a good way, to realize that, we're on here joking and bullshitting, but we do say serious stuff, and sometimes we put that persona down and we just talk to y'all from our personal levels. And it's nice to know that it reached at least one person. It's all we can do in life is to hopefully reach out and touch one person positively. If you go with that goal, you'll always be moving in the right direction. And it's nice to hear that we actually did. And I wanted to share that with both of y'all.
Agreed.
Make sure both of y'all were on here at the same time. And that's the only reason why I cut in real quick, is because I want to make sure, because I know Rob has to dad life it sometimes. So I wanted to make sure we were all here to hear that one.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, I see here that, he did see that people had reached out to him, but he did not reply. Okay.
Nope.
Yep.
I mean, he said he was listening to the show. I think he even name drops the show in there.
I didn't see it, but I'm trying to scroll through quickly, but it's fine.
Yeah, but but definitely, I know, talking to me, he flat out name dropped, and he even said which episode it was, and he knew that there was another person on here besides us and Mike.
Who's that other guy? Listening. That other guy.
Yeah, who's that? The other one.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
But weirdo. I think that's awesome to know that in the midst of all this shit, real life happens, and we're, ironically enough, we're joking about bullshit making a difference in somebody's life, because we do talk seriously. I know that episode was really hard for all of us. Like, we all talked about some pretty personal shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much an open book, so like
I usually am too, but I don't like to share shit with people, ironically enough, without provocation, because I don't trust people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are shit.
Yeah.
And if you tell them something about yourself, there will inevitably come a time where they try to use that as a weapon. And my problem is, I have anger issues, and I have no problem catching a simple assault charge. It's only $248 down at the local courthouse to pay for it. Don't even have to go to jail for it, as long as I don't touch a weapon. And I have no problem. Had it before. I'll take one again. So I don't like to tell people stuff because the first time it gets used as a weapon, my natural reaction is to fuck that person up. I don't care who they are.
Well, at least this is the internet, so we don't have to worry about that.
I will do it verbally. I will make a motherfucker cry.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so, I mean, I think
it's nice to know that we could open up like that and it reached somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's you know, I don't want to say it's not the first time I've heard something like that, but it is always a good thing to hear that it meant something to somebody, not just us talking into the wind.
Mm-hmm. So not just him, but any of y'all out there, man, reach out and talk. Even if it's not to us, just keep that in mind. You got to talk to somebody, because holding it in your head, the voices in your head become an echo chamber, and it's always the wrong things that it's echoing.
Yeah, I was actually spiraling the other day, and I had to just focus on work to get past it. Actually, that was yesterday. Somebody pissed me off, and it got me thinking in the wrong way, and I just started spiraling. So I just focused on my work instead.
And now we get to come here and be our therapist for each other. So,
or make fun of each other.
That too. And
we need more to make fun of Rob about. He's very one note. Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta go walk the kids. He's very one note. We need more.
He's only got one weak point, and it's not even really a weak point. He's like dad life. So you gotta make fun of him for that, but we all get it.
we eventually got to find something that gets him riled up. So we'll get there. We got time.
I heard it's McFarlane. He really hates McFarlane. Oh no, that's me.
No, I'm
my
fine
bad.
with McFarlane.
Yeah,
I'm fine with McFarlane.
If it's toys, you have a problem.
Yeah, I'm projecting.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I just wanted to get that in case he has to dip. So let's go back. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Well, actually, I was going to read this email, but it is very long, so I don't know if I'm going to read it right now. It is from Will, and it's a very specific topic. Okay. Well, there's no Ricky was right in this. He's writing.
Doesn't matter. I haven't heard from Will in forever.
So on my recommendation over on the It Doesn't Have to Make Sense channel, Will actually ended up going to watch the YouTube series Hell of a Boss. Mm-hmm. If you've never heard of it, it's an animated show, and I would not call it a cartoon. It is an animated show. It's very adult, and it is funny as fuck. But it's also very heartwarming at the same time. Very short. I think the first season is only 7 episodes, and the second season has only dropped the first episode for some reason. But what he did is he wrote in with different, basically a short review of every episode is what he did. So, I mean, if you're interested, I'll read through it. But if you don't want anything spoiled on the episode, if you want to watch it yourself, then I won't read through it right now. But that's up to you guys.
I'll add it to my list.
Okay. Yeah. So
just skip past the
I'm all about the animated angsty shows.
Yeah. So I mean he's got some very poignant thoughts on here, but he wanted to write into me at least until he wrote into the show, technically speaking. So but yeah, he definitely has spoilers in here, so if you don't want to be spoiled.
Wrong show, Will.
No, he wanted it to. I told him to write into here. We just don't have time to go through it today.
Never mind, Will. Right show, Will.
But but I would suggest to both of you guys to watch it because it's short. I mean, like I think the longest episode is like 12 minutes or something. But considering that it's a YouTube show exclusively, it is animated so fucking well. Like, it looks like something that Cartoon Network would do.
I got you.
Like, it's so good. Hell of a Boss. There's also Has Been Hotel, which is in the same universe, but they're not connected directly. There's references between the two shows, but there's no direct crossover. But I think they're doing something for the holidays where it's going to be like a short crossover series. So, all right. With that being said, Will, I did read through most of your email already. I still got to read like the last couple things here, and I may read it later after these guys have watched it, so we can all discuss it on a later episode. So we'll just hold on to that.
We can make that a bonus episode.
We could do so. Yeah.
Email.
Yeah. And it's a good show. So either way, we shall move on for right now. But I just wanted to acknowledge that Will finally wrote in again, which we've been trying to get him to. And then Jay says I don't know if you caught this, Ricky, on the last thing that Jay said that he's going to be writing in sometime soon. He's just been very busy.
Yep.
So we'll look forward to a long J email eventually. If you guys want to write into us, you can do so at NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail@gmail.com, or just comment, on the YouTube videos. And as far as I've seen, there's no other comments on other things. But also you can
got to figure out a way to streamline that so you're not having to pull from so many different places.
Well, not really pulling from a lot of places. It's just only looking at the YouTube comments. So, but I don't think there's comments anywhere else to look at. So I don't think that's a problem. At least I've not seen any. All right, so let's just go ahead and do our weeks, since I'm sure we'll do that. And of course, we have crossovers for shows, so we'll save those discussions for after all of us have gone through it. Who wants to go first this week?
Let Rob, in case he's got a bolt.
There we go, Mr. Dormammu. Do your week. Do that. Your fucking week.
Call him Robert. Call him Robert Bolton.
Robert Bolt Dad.
His name is Robert Bolton. His name is Robert.
Hey, listen, listen. My hours are between 1 and Dad. We know this.
God damn it, Dad. Or dogs. The dog scratching at the door. That's the best episode. Is the dog scratching at the door.
Yeah, the food. Food runs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's food o'clock.
It's food o'clock.
Warning.
Or there's a horse party.
Well, yes, and so that was this past weekend. So went to a kid's birthday party where we were invited to a local riding club, which the oldest had actually been to during one of the summer camps. It was a couple weeks. This is going back like 3 years now, and she absolutely loved it. So it's not like we hadn't been to this place before, but it was the first birthday party where it was actually at a horse camp, and all of the kids got to also ride horses. And the ones that this is because the child whose birthday it was, she actually takes lessons there. So they had the horses all painted up for her birthday, and everything was really nice. It was at first it started out because we had to be indoors because it started thundering and pouring like at buckets. So they had the kids like going around, and the ones that actually attend the club and do the lessons got to go without any type of assistance. And the kids that weren't taking lessons, they actually had assistants that were helping them with the horses. And so one of the adults, which was not anybody from our family, decided to go on, and she's in her, we'll call it upper ages, but she wanted a chance to ride on the horse to go with her, grandchild. And so
did they give her an old ass horse to make her feel bad?
No, all these horses were in great shape. They were younger horses. They were very well maintained, beautiful, beautiful looking horses. Mm-hmm. Very, very good temperaments. She gets on this horse and they're riding her around for about 20, 25 minutes. And then she gets this look on her face like, oh, I want down from this horse because she's just feeling it. She's feeling sore. And so of course she's trying to get off the horse, and she had to get an assist to get off the horse, because the only way to get off is to literally like lift up your leg, vault off the horse.
It's hard enough getting on a horse. Getting off is
yeah, exactly. Now, personally, one of my first jobs was this was way back in the day. It's one of those like, y'all, if you're of a certain age, you understand. Some of you would get the jobs when you were under 16 doing, bag boy, bag girl, whatever at the supermarket, or you would, find a summer job because your parents were like, go find something to do or get a job. And you could get something like that without having to sign a bunch of forms and be all, and it'd be all. I was
gonna say maybe in your state, not mine.
Well, we're talking like back in the day, upstate New York. And, so one of my first jobs was at it was a tourist trap, and it was called, and the place no longer exists on the map anymore, so I can call it out, but it was called Carson City, Wild West Town in Indian Village. And basically it was a literally reenactment of a Wild West town, complete with the fronts of the shops and the whole 9 yards. And then the Indian Village was literally a handful of teepees. And of course they had trick pony riding, and they had shows, and day in and day out, it was your standard fare tourist trap. And so I was hired to basically be the horse wrangler and upkeep the animals in the petting zoo. And so that was my summer job for a good solid, 3.5 months. That's what I did. And so I had learned at that point, like, because the dress code was full cowboy wear, including right down to the boots, how to ride horses and how to deal with them, etc. So my daughter and my son were like, "Come on, Dad, let's go, let's go." This is at this birthday party, and so I was like, why not?" So I threw on a helmet because it's part of the safety, and I get up on the horse, and
so wait,
I guess everybody was just surprised. They're like, "Hey, you got on a horse." I'm like, "Why wouldn't I?"
So have you not been on a horse since you were a teenager?
Well, okay, so the last time I had gone riding was like 5 years prior, like 5 years ago. Okay. And that was some trail riding, some basic trail riding.
But
nothing
still.
major. But still, yeah.
You had your legs wrapped around a beast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no, but it stopped raining. They took us outside. We did a bunch of riding around, but I still had the assistant. And it was because it was from their safety perspective that if you weren't taking lessons, you had to have the assistant. But I was like, myself and my daughter, who had also taken lessons a couple years back, we're both like, man, we wish we could have gone without the assistant. It would have been better. But still, I appreciated it. But after I got off the horse, which I had absolutely no problem getting on, getting off, getting things adjusted for the, getting things adjusted. It was one of the show saddle types, so it didn't have that center handhold that the long range riding saddles have. So it was a little bit more you had to like balance to get off the horse or balance to get on the horse. But afterwards, like that evening, I was like, man, my hips kind of hurt. And it's kind of like muscles I hadn't used in a very long time. And they always say, riding on a horse is kind of like riding on a bike, and it's kind of right. You're using muscles you haven't used in a very long time, and it just was a nice reminder that, hey, I hadn't ridden a horse in a couple of years. But it was fun, and it was something. It was definitely something that made the weekend unique, because otherwise it's just been a lot of kind of running around and the standard upkeep of the outside world, because grass grows.
Yeah.
So that was my week. I actually have not gotten anything new this week. In fact, the only thing I did was a trade for 2 figures, and I got the Ragnarok version of the classic Thor in the Marvel Legends.
Oh,
the one
nice.
with the spinning hammer, and that actually went up on my shelf next to my classic Iron Man and the 40th anniversary Captain America.
So, wasn't that the one that was like in the box set or whatever at one time?
Yep.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
They had it in a
I hadn't gotten a classic version of them, and I do like that.
So, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, because I frequent Target. They had the Thor figures like in a random little end cap over in like the little kids section instead of with the Marvel Legends. It's like, why? Like all the like movie stuff, and then exactly the toy you were just talking about. I'm like, why the fuck is this over here? It's like, I guess maybe it was supposed to be adjacent to the
middle
Disney
area before it goes to clearance.
I don't know. No, it was brand
middle
new.
Area before they send it over to clearance.
No, it was all the Thor 4 stuff.
Doesn't matter.
It was brand new. Like
it doesn't matter if it doesn't
that shit's
sell.
on its way to clearance
for sure.
months.
Oh, it's gonna be in clearance for sure. That's not without a doubt.
Because all that shit came out like 6 months before the fucking movie.
I don't know if it's that bad as like, because I think they're getting better about the scheduling, unlike what happened with like Black Widow, where it dropped legitimately a year before the fucking movie.
Or the new Lego spoiler for fucking Black Panther.
What? Well, I haven't seen that, so I'm avoiding it. But there was another spoiler that just came out toy-wise, and I forgot what it was because I saw people bitching about it. And I'm like, it's like it's like if you're in the collector community, you should know that the toilers happen every time. You know, sometimes they're not as blatant. Lego is the worst, in my opinion.
Lego is very blatant.
Because we knew
Lego is all the toy sins.
Yeah, so we knew that what Gore was going to look like. They spoiled Giant Man. Spoiled Thanos. I think they might have spoiled Tony snapping the gauntlet at the end. I can't remember if that was in there or not. But there was a bunch of there's spoiled Stormbreaker. Like there's all kinds of shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of Infinity War sets that were kind of giveaways.
Yeah, definitely. Always the Marvel stuff. Spider-Man. I'm surprised that the Spider-Man ones didn't somehow give away, even though the rest of the internet did, the extra Spider-Man in No Way Home. So apparently there's deleted scenes for that too.
Yeah, but technically from a Lego face, they kind of all look the same.
In a way, but if it showed 3 Spider-Man all together on the screen or in the set, that would give it away.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, oh look, it's the Statue of Liberty fight where there's 6 bad guys and 3 Spider-Man. That's weird. I saw this on the trailer. There wasn't Spider-Man in that. Yeah, I just made a mess. Gotta pick all this shit up. Okay. So you good?
I'm good. That's my
remember. It's not just this week. It's been like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, technically it's been. Well, he and I recorded.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like for like what'd you do last week? I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah,
I couldn't even. Tell
there wasn't much to talk about that week, anyways. So, right. I mean, we do have a couple weeks of TV shows to technically catch up on, but we'll do that after this. All right, Rick, you want to go next?
Yeah, that's why I'm saving it,
just in case you get blown over.
Oh no, we're far from it. I'm gonna show y'all the projected. Yeah, I know, but the projected thing says it's a level 1 Thursday when it hits us. So that ain't shit. That's barely hard rain. So
yeah, that's just a crappy afternoon.
Yeah, I told you we don't really get it. So I'll make that part of my week. We got the hurricane coming.
Future week.
Yeah, it's this week. I mean, technically it's like tomorrow is when it's supposed to all be starting.
Yeah,
but
we get the tail end of that on Saturday, supposedly.
Yeah, but it never really. People just hear I'm in Florida and there's a hurricane coming, so I'm gonna die and blah blah. Dude, we live dead center, landlocked like hell. Like unless it's like the top end of a Category 5 coming right at us, it usually doesn't do much to us.
It's coming right at us.
By the time it usually gets to us, it's dropped at least 1, if not 2 levels by the time it gets here.
Yeah,
because there's no water.
See, most people just envision that.
Yeah.
Most people envision you're going to get about 9 feet of water and a gator in your fridge.
Well, he's already got half of those.
Already got gators in the fridge.
Yeah. Well, you got to. Well, for those who don't realize, like Ricky's more on the Gulf Coast side, so
I'm dead center.
Well, I'm saying.
Sorry.
The storm is on the Gulf Coast side. Sorry.
Yeah. When I drive, it takes me an hour and a half to get to the Gulf, or if I drive the other way, it takes me an hour and a half to get to the Atlantic. It's the same distance both places.
Yeah. So it's just because by the way it would hit anything on the Gulf Coast, generally speaking, it's losing steam because the side that it needs to suck up the water and the temperature and everything is on that side. So that's one reason why Texas gets hit pretty hard, because the side that actually gathers the strength sits over the Gulf and then will hit us. That's why Harvey was so bad for us.
Yeah.
That's why Louisiana usually gets fucked, because they'll hit the top side of the storm, that kind of area. It's like, can we send it to some states that like never get anything? That'd be great. Yeah, but
I remember there was a time when North Carolina would get hit on the regular, and all the time they barely get anything.
North Carolina got like 4 back-to-back over like a few years, and then Florida got nailed a couple years ago.
But then after a while, it stopped. I mean, I was there for 11 years, never saw one pass through.
Lucky. Yeah,
I think it was at that point that there was it was right after Fran. That's when I had moved down
I forgot about Fran.
Raleigh.
Yeah.
So Fran was kind of the worst of the worst, and then after that, it was like, oh, well, this is coming. The worst that it was supposed to be was we're supposed to get like a Cat 1 that was literally so strong and so vast, like so wide. I forget what the name of it was. That it was supposed to go all the way inland as far as Raleigh, which is, if you're looking at a map, is pretty far.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about the coastline. But
aside from
low
numbers
getting battered, like actual inland to Raleigh, or inland to like
if
North
it could
Carolina
make it
to that coast,
sustain that much power to get that far inland, that's actually
usually
scary.
It's tropical storm.
That's pretty strong, right?
Yeah.
But low numbers like that, it's only really fucked up if it goes stationary on top of you.
Like what happened to us.
Even then, say a category 2 comes and sits over my house. It's not the hurricane that's gonna fuck me up. It's the flooding, and even then I'm good because, funny enough, my house is on top of a hill. So literally everything on my house, you can sit here on my back porch where I'm sitting right now. I'm looking down the hill to my neighbor's house one way and down the hill to my neighbor's house the other way. So I mean, most of it runs down to them. And
your
them
pool would be your greatest threat.
Not even that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying
that's I know how to drain that motherfucker.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like that would be your only real issue.
Well, my biggest
what
biggest
about like trees and stuff for the windows?
That's what I was gonna say. My biggest threat is actually the greenway, because there's a greenway right behind my house.
Yeah, you talked about that.
I'm looking at like 40-foot tall pine trees right here, and if that one decides to snap and falls, it's definitely taking out my screened-in porch.
Dude, we have them right here. Like we have a very thin wall of trees between us and the highway, and they're fucking like 50 to 90-foot pine trees. So it's like, that would still hit us.
And then ironically, Florida being what it is, the whole back of my house right here pretty much is glass. Like the door into the bedroom has a big glass middle part. The door into the dining room has a big glass middle part. And then I have a double sliding glass door behind me that leads into my living room. So if anything starts blowing around out here, they can fuck some shit up.
And ain't nobody buying plywood this year to board up their windows.
I never do. Let me tell you what, man. I have homeowners insurance. I'm a tax-paying adult American, dude. I have insurance. So if fucking wind comes in here and knocks something over or breaks something, guess what? My insurance will fucking cover it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't go crazy like everybody else.
The cost of wood is what he's getting at, which is insane.
Oh yeah, I got you. It's definitely not worth it.
Which still doesn't
I
make sense.
go out and buy a pallet of fucking duct tape and just duct tape this motherfucker for a lot cheaper than goddamn wood at this point.
It's true.
Actually, just be better off just smashing them ahead of time. Fuck it.
Yeah, just get it out of the way. Yeah, you know what? While we're on here, let's do a live smashing of my windows. Let's preemptively beat this hurricane and laugh at it when it goes by.
And then you have to put a whole bunch of debris inside to make it look like it chucked a limb through your window.
Oh, and that's another thing,
I need new windows.
The hurricane rules, man, they're touchy about that shit. Like I have a whole patio set up out here with like 6 chairs.
Yeah.
If you had them outside in your pool, yep. You took that on yourself. I have to either sink them in my pool or take them in the house.
Yeah,
if they're out here and they blow around, the insurance adjuster will be like, nope, that's your own fault for not batting down the hatches.
So that just gave me an interesting question. How many people in Florida, in the history of us recording such things, have died from flying yard flamingos during hurricane season?
Probably more than should be admitted.
Good old Jerry. Good old Jerry. He was out walking. His neighbor forgot to pick up his fucking flamingo
to the head,
and it just pierced him right through his head. He was just laying there, and there's that flamingo standing straight up.
That's it. Took a gnome to the dome.
So we just buried Jerry where he was because the flamingo's already upright. It just made sense to just go ahead and do it.
I think we just named this one. It's the flying flamingo, the flying flamingos of death. The gnomes to the domes.
Oh god, dude, garden gnomes would just be bullets. Fucking porcelain bullets flying at people.
Projectiles.
Oh god, no! Actually, a tornado would be worse for that. I mean, like the flamingos.
Luckily, we don't really get those. We get them every once in a while, but not too bad.
Dude, we'll get tornadoes right here. Like we're in the city, but because there's so many large throughways cut through for either power lines or just the widened roads, we'll get tornadoes just because they can form right there because there's not enough tree coverage to actually break them up or keep them from tuffing down. So like a couple of years ago, outside of hurricane season, we're like, why the fuck is half of our town with no power? And it turns out there was a fucking tornado, and we were lucky we were on the next grid over. So like we're looking up the street and it's pitch black. We're like, that's weird. We look across the street over there. That's black. That's weird. And then we find out, it was a tornado. Just touched down, knocked down some power lines right there. It's like, like 2 miles.
Yeah, that's my preemptive one, just in case anything happens with future recordings.
So if you don't hear Ricky next week,
it might be a little worse for wear. But last week I finally, after 2.5 years of doing my DMX run, hide, duck, we don't give a fuck hiding from it, COVID finally caught up to me.
Bitch.
I finally caught it one time.
Hold on, what happened to your superior immune system, Ricky?
I mean, considering that I don't wear a mask unless I'm forced to, and both my kids had it last year and laid on me for 10 days and I never caught it, I still think my immune system's still better than most people's.
Nah, I think you just got the one variant that finally adjusted to you.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm double vaccinated. Like I have both vaccine shots and boosted, but I was boosted up until Delta, whichever one came before Omicron. That was the last one of my boosters.
There was a few, but
anything
Delta would be the big one.
Yeah, whatever one posts that, I'm open and susceptible to, and they finally caught me. So
what variant are we even on at this point? Zeta?
Lambda? I don't fucking know. I don't care.
But yeah,
whatever.
They skipped over Lambda.
Yeah, it's the bivalent version of the booster because I just got that. But it's supposedly for Omicron and the later thetas that are coming.
Theta.
That's coming.
This might be the one that I got. But it was really bad the first 2 days. Like I had like really bad temperatures. Like I was spiking like 104.2. Sat on 102 in the 102 range for a while, and so for like the first 24 hour, like a 24-hour block, like most people don't know, but I don't sleep a lot. Like I'm 4 to 5 hours a night is usually a normal night for me. Well, a 24-hour block from Sunday morning to Monday morning, I slept 18 and a half hours of it. Like Jesus. I would literally sleep for 3-4 hours, wake up for like a half hour, get something to drink, take some Dayquil, and immediately just go right back to sleep again and sleep for another 3-4 hours. Just wash, rinse, repeat for the whole 24-hour period.
You're lucky. I couldn't sleep when I had it.
Well, I don't like it because I was miserable. By the end of it, I was so tired of fucking sleep, but I just couldn't. Like my body had no energy and it was fighting that fever. Like I was sick of it. My body was hurting from laying in fucking bed. And so then I spent the next 2 days with the body aches and chills after that, and then I did a double ear infection just to wrap it all up. Yeah, that's how I ended the end of it, was with a double ear infection. But it was pretty much a steady headache through the whole entire thing. But that was pretty much the worst of it. The first 2 days really were the worst. The first 2 days were the worst, and the last 2 days with the double ear infection, because I'm big about my ears, man. Like I listen to music constantly. Like it's a thing. So when I can't use my ears, it bothers me. And was it
like all clogged up and you couldn't hear it all, or was it painful?
It was almost a tinnitus. Like there was like a constant like
swollen.
muffled. Yeah, it was like a muffled like kind of like constantly like a feedback loop, constant for 48 hours. And that was no fun. So that was last week. It's been a while since I've been on here talking, so I'm trying to remember some stuff that I've gotten. I got in.
You got a figure.
Ages.
You got a figure, right? With wings.
Oh yeah, I'll get there. But before that, I got New Age RC in. She is a great figure. Just. And by the way, Bobby, it's pronounced Machine Mensch.
Yeah. What did he? I didn't watch the review yet because I don't have her yet.
He couldn't work his way through that word, which was awesome. I mean, it's not easy to look at.
I don't know.
Like it's a rough one, but it really just means machine. It means machine man. It's all it means. Mensch. And Mensch is just a man's man.
Yeah, I've seen the reviews on it. I mean, it is a better masterpiece than the. It's a better masterpiece than the masterpiece RC.
Yeah, I have Rogue, the Fans Toys one, and this one is I like this one way better. And there's like some kind of EE got it. It's a upgrade kit you can actually get where you pop off her back and it just gives her the like pylons over her shoulders, but it cleans up her whole back. You don't have the car back there. But even with the car back there, it doesn't bother me because that's part of RC's toy model.
Technically, Mensch is more of a neutral like person or like a human or person.
When you call somebody, especially like in Yiddish, when you say somebody's a mensch, you're saying they're a man's man. They're a stand-up guy.
Yes, but the actual translation of the word is closer to a neutral human or person. Yeah. So it's a machine person. So it's a
machine person. Yeah.
Now, see, the weird thing is that they don't have an IDW version planned, but that would make it really interesting on which way they would gender it. Due to Darcy's
but she still
IDW
looked like
story.
A female even when she didn't.
Well, she became a she, but that's the weird part about what they did to that character.
But I got that in.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a very deep background story, depending upon what you're reading.
Yeah. We'd need a Jaxus for that.
I'm definitely one of the guys who hit up Bobby when he was talking about on Nerd Rage, where he said people hit him up and asked him about the magnets in the feet and he can't figure it out. I was definitely one of them because
I missed that.
He talked about it, and she has little magnets in the bottom of her feet, and I just hung her upside down from my screwdriver sitting here on the back porch, and I took a picture and I sent it to him, and I was like, I have no idea why this is here. I've talked about it with EE and a couple other Legends people that I know, and none of us can figure out why the fuck she has magnets, but she has magnets in the bottom of her feet. And he's like, that's weird. And I'm like, you're telling me. No reason why they should be there, but they're there.
I'm assuming that's gonna come into play later for something.
Yeah, it would have to. It'd be something. Or maybe they just did it because she's so back heavy. Maybe they're just doing that preemptively as like a workaround. So if you have to stand her up some way, she
put her on a metal plate.
Yeah, put her. Yeah,
it's like
you can have metal in your displays. Why not?
Mine are all made of particle board.
You could slide a piece of metal underneath there. Take 2 seconds.
Could do. I assume if they did that, there's a specific reason.
There might be. They might be putting out some kind of set or something.
I have her on pre-order. She just hasn't come in yet.
She is great. She is super articulated, super flexible. I sent you the picture of her, right?
Just that you got it, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a picture of the next figure that Shoky's super buttholy about is I got a Hudson in.
Fucking dick.
Shout out to my friend Jeremy. He lives out in I believe Wisconsin now.
Is that Jeremy B?
No.
Oh,
Jeremy, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
He ran across it and he found one for himself, and he asked in the group messages like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go back out. Anybody looking for a Hudson?" And I'm like, "Yep, I do. I want one." And another guy was like, "I want one too." And he found one, and I was like, "Haha, beat you to it." So I got a Hudson in. It is a really good figure. Mine has one little paint issue. Like there's a drop of white. It looks like from when they were painting the hair or something landed on his big fat beer belly. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of brown and just dab over it and just get rid of it. But other than that, man, it's a gorgeous figure. And I know so many people are freaking out and their wings are too much and blah blah blah. And I had a whole argument with EE about this, about how they're making the wings, the cape wings for everybody. He's like, "No, they're not." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I heard him say it in one of the things with like Pixel Dan.
They're just doing it incredibly slowly.
Slow. And he's like, "No, where's your proof?" Like he's big about that shit. He's like, "You guys prove it. If not, you're just making shit up." So I found a picture. They showed Demona wearing her cape wings.
I've seen somebody who repainted Goliaths and put them on her.
Yeah. Well, you can do that.
They're too big, though.
Even before they made the cape wings, I saw a guy made some cape wings with the wings that he came with. He just used a blow dryer and just slowly kept heating it up and flexing them until he got them wrapped around. But before the cape wings were available with Bronx, it was something he had. And then another thing I saw, if let's say they don't make any more past Demona, something I saw somebody do was the same general concept. Was he heated them up and he just bent them some, so they're not straight out, they're kind of curved a little.
Yeah.
And that, you'd be surprised how much room that opens up, just having them just curved a little. So I might end up doing that.
Agreed. Especially fitting her on the shelf. But a friend of mine actually had a really good thought pattern. Well, really good / really bad is that once they start releasing more human characters, like Elisa, those will come with the folded wings for the other.
That Xanatos will come with some. I mean, they'll find it, or they can do.
They got to find somebody to put it with. Yeah,
not necessarily. It's
exactly.
NECA. Well, I have two accessory sets in here that they put out for Ninja Turtles. They can just
we talked about that.
Full accessory
That's also possible.
We talked about that where they just release a box set of all the wings, which
just a box set with all the wings and be done with it.
Which would be
all the wings.
That would be great and annoying at the same time. That's. Just because they made us wait.
I'd still pay for it over paying for a character that I maybe didn't want in an accessory for a character I already have.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but one is the smarter marketing, and one is basically taking advantage of, or one is actually helping the collectors. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Question:
one's helping the collectors, and one's forcing you to buy all their shit. And we know as a company, they're going to do the one where they make you buy all their shit because that's how they are.
So here's the thing, though. What if instead of putting them all together, what if they offered them each individually for like $10?
No, that'd be stupid. The way cardboard and plastic is going right now, that the packaging would cost more than that shit.
Yeah, but they could basically use the same packaging the whole time.
Me personally, I'm gonna put the Super 7 challenge to them. I got my Thundercats from Super 7, from Big Bad Toy Store, anyways. When the first wave came out, and next thing I know, a box shows up in my mailbox like a year later, with fixes for their first series of figures. And their thought process was, we didn't have it right when we sent it to you. Here's all this stuff for free. They gave you a free glow in the dark eyes head sculpt for Panthro. There was an update to his shorts so they were the right color. They had better weapons. They had all these things that should have been in the original release that they just boxed up and shipped out to everybody just for free. If you ordered it from a store, you got this for free.
Yeah.
And they called it a booster pack, but it was just to fix everything that they'd already put out.
See, that's a good way to do it.
Super cool. That to me is customer care, because not only did I not ask for it, not only did I not email them and ask for a replacement, they didn't even, they made the replacement. They contacted all the businesses they sold stuff through, found out who they sold it to, got my address
That's a lot
from
of legwork.
them,
Yeah.
and then just mailed it to me. Didn't say nothing from fucking nothing. Just all of a sudden there was a box in my mailbox. And I think that is some of the best aftermarket customer care I've ever heard of any company doing. And I NECA could do something like that. They could be like, oh, here, by the way, here's a box with some fucking folded wings for your fucking Hudson and your fucking Thaylog that you should have got. Like, if you ordered it through one of these stores, boom, here's your copy. Yeah. If you went and bought it at a physical brick and mortar place, here it is for sale. Here's a box set with all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they could do something like that. They won't, but they could. And I challenge them to do something like that. Show that they listen just as much as Super 7 did.
Yeah, they need to listen to this show. We have great ideas.
Yeah.
We have great
Randy
ideas.
Falk, you better be listening to our show.
We'll
watch your videos. You listen to us.
We'll tag him next episode. We'll just tag him in it.
But I've never had any issues with NECA stuff. I know some people, and I know that's when you're having an issue with a figure or a line,
they're good about fixing it.
Shit, this is garbage and blah 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 blah. And then you get that one person that pops up and goes, I got no issues. You always hate to hear that person. You're like, shut the fuck up. That doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. It means you got lucky.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those lucky ones. I have all the animated stuff, the movie turtle stuff, the gargoyle stuff. Like, I have a ton of NECA stuff, and I've only ever had one issue. So, I mean, I don't consider them as bad as some people make them out to be. I've never had a heat up. So I have a theory of why I've never had to do it. I know a lot of people do that. You know, you have to heat it up with a hairdryer or the boiling water trick to loosen up the limbs and all that before you start bending joints. I've never had to do that. And my theory is this: my stuff gets shipped here. It sits out on my front porch so I get home from work, or I even pick it up immediately, but it's been here in Florida where it's already hot and humid. All my joints are already loosened for me just by the natural heat of fucking Florida. I've never had an issue with bending a knee. I've never had to worry about popping it, never had to worry about it breaking, never had them frozen up from paint. No issues, never. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't invalidate what people's complaints are about it. I'm just saying I've never had that issue. And I have to have faith that they're going to figure out something for this gargoyle stuff, because this line is going deep, man. They're already showing stuff. Like, they've already teased the Elisa. Like, remember we were talking about it? And we're like, man, I wish they'd put one of Alyssa out sooner than later. They've already showed like a, what do you call it? Like an outline, a shadow outline, and nobody knows what it is. They won't, you can't tell exactly what it is, but people are already going in there and saying it looks like it's Elisa with her hair blowing and all that.
It'll be human Demona.
Yeah, maybe. That's always a possibility.
Now,
but the point is, they're already cutting deep, man. Xanatos, they already got they've already announced the wolf pack. They
need to do some of the characters from way back when, you know, from the first episode, like the princess, the magus, the captain.
Oh, well, they'll have to get the magus and princess because they stayed in it. Like, even in the later series, when they went back into the time traveling stuff, they became main characters again.
No, but they're like, I'm waiting on Macbeth.
They announced Cold Stone. I mean, they're making it some kind of weird exclusive.
They kind of did, and they kind of didn't. So it's a weird thing about him. So, like,
yeah, it's going to be like some kind of NECA store exclusive or some
which means they'll ship it out somewhere before the customers get it.
Yeah. Like, so I mean, it's still available. I'm not getting it because he was never my favorite. You know, besides it being Michael Worf. Remember that conversation?
Michael Worf. You
remember that conversation? I did that on purpose this time. You don't remember that? You don't remember that conversation we had where I kept mixing up his real name with his yeah. Well, he's the one who actually does the voice. Because
you called him Dorf.
If I remember.
You called him Dorf.
Dorf and Worf and all kinds of stuff. Dorn. I know what his real name is.
Michael Dorn, and he played Worf.
But I believe, if I remember correctly, he did the voice of Cold Stone. He did. That was cool hearing his voice again, but the half robot, half gargoyle thing, I wasn't big into that design. I wouldn't mind a straight up gargoyle.
I was gonna say, do we get the cybernetic
bionic one? I don't know. The only one they've shown is the bionic one, so I don't know.
I mean, it seems like an easy retooling of Goliath.
Yeah, pretty much. And one thing I'm noticing, I'm going to get in there and really look closely. I know this sounds weird, but I'm going to be staring at the crotches of my gargoyles for a little bit, because I think they're literally reusing the same loincloth and belt for every one of them at this point. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm going, the Hudson one, I'm like, I think this is just the gargoyle one, the Goliath one just stretched out a little. Like, it's the same thing. I have to get in there and look at him.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, like, because he's got his beer gut. But if you look at it, they don't stretch it out much because his, like anybody else who ever had a papaw with a beer gut, his pants are underneath his gut. So
yeah, I don't know how much I'm staring at the loincloths of my.
I'm going to just.
It's
to
a
see
different
if it's
loincloth for sure.
I don't think so.
No, it is. It's a different shape entirely.
I don't.
I'm looking at it right now. I've got Goliath right over there, and I've got Hudson here, picture-wise. It's a completely different shape loincloth.
Don't think so.
It is.
Look at it. Look closely again. And all it is the top. The top is just like flared out.
No, the actual part dangling, the dangly bit is shaped completely different. It's wider and shorter, and I think Hudson's belt might be. Well, it would make sense if their belts are the same, but I mean,
hey, we're getting rain. This must be pre-hurricane rain. Woohoo!
Yeah. So either way,
but,
I mean,
yeah, I think that's funny, but
I'm more concerned about the shape of his thighs.
Yeah.
His thighs look like.
Ironically enough, I can stand him straight up. Like, I don't know if it's. I have to get in there and look at my Goliath again because I haven't really messed with it too much.
He's got Goliath's
I don't know
feet,
if I don't
for sure.
Yeah, like, but they put something better in his ankle. Maybe it's slightly different because I can stand him straight up on his tippy toes.
Oh, he can actually do the digitigrated stance.
And he stands good. Like with Goliath, I always kind of almost had to flat foot him and trying to cheat it.
Yeah, mine's flat footed, and my Demono's flat footed.
Yeah, so it works. It works for him somehow, and I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to get in there and look at them.
What is that? What is that thigh sculpt? It looks like fucking fried chicken.
I mean, he's brown and bulky. So
no, but the actual fucking skin and muscles look fucking weird.
I think you're just hungry and you're mad that you don't have.
No, I'm looking at it. It's just fucking strange looking.
No, I didn't look at it.
They definitely went with much more emphasized like musculature for all of them.
Yeah, this is so. I think it's strange.
Part of it is balance. Part of it, though, I have figured this out. Part of it is balance.
Yeah,
because again, these are all figures that are on their tippy toes when they're standing.
Yeah, they're digitigrated. Yeah,
really makes it hard.
Hold on,
because
I'm going to share the Hudson picture in the normal chat or in the Discord chat.
I don't want to see your KFC legs.
No, look at the fucking thighs.
I can just look at the toy.
I know, but they're fucking weird. Man. What is that? That's not even musculature. Is he supposed to be wearing? Oh, he's wearing pants. That's what it is.
Are you new to gargoyles? You didn't know he had pants on?
I did not realize he had pants on.
Yeah, he has like the beige like knickers.
Well, they were like so close to his skin tone, I didn't realize that they're actually pants. Yeah. Wait, now I got to go back to the show because I don't remember him wearing pants in the show.
He wears pants in the show. He's the
he does wear pants.
Well, like I said, I got to relook at it because now I've been rewatching the show. I never paid that much attention.
You know how it is for older gargoyles. You got to keep those.
I knew he had the like pad, what looks like the tied up parts on his calves.
Because I don't think you get dad short, grandpa short moments where.
He's almost wearing capri pants, is what it is. Okay, yeah, the lighting makes
he's always wearing pants, but again, like you said,
there's a much more
even in the cartoon.
He's way closer to skin tone. That's why.
Yeah, like they say, if they touch the water, don't wear your shorts shorter.
Exactly. But see, why bother with the loincloth if you're wearing pants?
Because it's a stylistic choice. Same reason why I have socks on with my flip flops right now, because I can.
Well, that's different.
The Scottish roots, man.
He's not wearing a kilt.
But yeah, I'm still excited about this line. Like I think it's kind of weird that they're putting out an Angela so soon, but I get it. They're just reusing that Demona buck and all that. But
yeah, this is an easy.
I'm excited about that because that's one I want.
Angela, I couldn't care less about. I always thought she had a doofy face, like that smooth kind of. I'm gonna say something so horrible right now. Should I say it?
Yes.
She's very Downsy looking.
Okay.
Like she looks special needs. Like I always thought that even watching the show.
That's why her and Broadway got along.
Plus, her character was so stupid in this show.
It's love on the spectrum, Ricky.
I mean, just like as a she wasn't a strong female. She was like a whiny, bitchy, like Demona was a very ferocious, strong female. Elisa was a very strong female.
She never knew.
And
her
then they take
parents.
Angela and throw her in there, and she's this total fucking doof. And I'm like, ugh.
Dude, she's a gargoyle raised essentially by humans. What do you expect?
Yeah,
exactly.
Not to be a doof.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if you want to be technical, all gargoyles were raised by humans because they were originally living with the humans.
They lived next to them, but they didn't like each other. She
was
raised by them.
It takes a village, Shoki.
It was their village.
Adjacent, remember?
They were human adjacent. Angela was raised with them because
them motherfuckers weren't adjacent. They lived in their goddamn castles.
They lived on top of the castle, and the humans feared them and hated them.
Watch the flashbacks. They were hanging out with humans, bullshitting and chilling.
Which is a lie because they show you in the first episode that they definitely weren't.
They were.
They got kicked out of the throne room. They got kicked out of the throne room after their victory.
Yeah, it was
by the way, been rewatching.
But like for me, for my collection, like I'm cherry picking from what I want. So I'm going.
I'm just getting the main. I
will get.
Need Xanatos
and Angela because I feel like she was in enough of those episodes. I will get Elisa. I will get.
They need.
Ironically enough,
am I going to go for like? Am I going to go for those ancillaries? I'm not going for all of.
Are you going to go for the South American gargoyles?
I'm not going for all of the. I mean, I'm definitely not going to try to buy into a box set of the pack because it's like
what about
shelf
space and B cost because they are more expensive.
I figure the humans will be cheaper. Angela's in a bunch more episodes than most people realize. That once they go back to that traveling back in time, she's pretty much in every episode.
Yeah, the gargoyle, the Goliath Chronicles. I'm doing what you did.
Yeah, the Goliath. She's pretty much in every episode from that point forward. So she's probably in more episodes than the core 4 are outside of Goliath.
And they got separated at one point where she got sent back she got sent either forward or back in time, and then they got separated, and then I guess she ended up in the normal timeline. Something like that.
But part of that was writing, and part of that was actually the availability of the voice cast too.
A
lot of the voice casts were working on a lot of other shows.
They're all on Star Trek.
I mean, honestly, well, it's not just
Star Trek was over by that.
How many shows? If you think about how many shows actually had voice actors, the same voice actors in a lot of shows. I mean, this is how Frank Welker had so many roles because they were doing all these roles all sometimes. 2 or 3 times that I had to go.
It was like piece rate.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you would
that's
just
your bread and butter. Yeah.
And you would just do them all in one studio shot, depending on who you're recording for. You're just literally just doing which character am I on right now? Which show? And then you just do the next one. Do 9 hours of voice work. Yeah, 9 hours of voice work for like 7 different shows.
Yep.
But I want I already forgot the guy's name.
I'm doing the main 5. I'm doing Elise. I'm doing Xanatos. I don't even think I'm going to get a Demona. I might eventually get a Demona, but as of right now, she's not on my must-have list. She's kind of like she's an honorable mention. She's an honorable mention on my list right now. So I'm getting the core 5. I'm getting a Xanatos. I'm getting an Elise if they make her. The what are they, the wolf pack or jackal pack or wolf clan, jackal clan? The pack. If they make the cybernetic versions of them, I will get those.
They'll probably do those
the normal.
first.
No, they've already announced the pack. Like
I'm saying I'd say they're gonna do. I would say they would do the cybernetic versions first and do the normal versions later.
I've already seen like promo pictures for the actual pack. They have just the pack. It's just them. Yeah. So
well, if it's just a brother and sister, they're not the pack. The pack was the whole group.
Yeah, the whole group. No, I want the whole group, but I want the cybernetic and the werewolf version of the one guy. Like I want those. If they make those, I'll get those.
Oh, when they made Wolf, they actually gene spliced Wolf with a wolf.
Yeah. If I might get the iron gargoyles,
I want
the ones the Xanatos had. I'm gonna get at least one red.
I want two normal and one Xanatos.
I don't know if I'm going to go 2 normal. I might just do 1. We'll see, because that's going to be a space thing, but I'm definitely getting the red one because I want a Xanatos unhelmeted. So
yeah,
that's going to happen. Those are my must-haves for that lineup. That's it. Like, because I'll have a good guy shelf and a bad guy shelf.
I need his.
Yes. Now you're making me brain fart. The one that ends up becoming Puck.
He is Puck the whole time. But that's why I said you have to have him, and you have to have like a Puck like very sneakily like behind him.
But if they make him, I want his glasses to be cell shaded.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could do that
I don't
yourself.
want to see his eyes. I don't want to see his eyes. I want the reflection because I remember thinking that was like the coolest thing when I was a kid that they did that on a cartoon.
And it's so funny because it's an anime trope.
Yeah.
It's a huge anime trope.
Yeah.
So those are my must-haves.
Ian and Puck I could see as a 2-pack potentially.
Yeah, even if, because like I would want like a out and about Puck, but then also like a bound Puck, like he's all chained up, with the mirror and everything.
But the one I'm most worried about is Lexington. I still don't see how they're like. I know it's an arm swap for the wings thing, but I've got to see it in person because the last one I saw, like at SDCC when they had him displayed, they had him with his arms down, the closed kind of wings thing. And it looked like they were just sticking straight up behind his back, like not attached to him. And if that's how it's going to be,
that can't be right. That would make no sense.
Go look at the SDCC.
No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying it would make no sense for them to actually do that.
Yeah, it's like it's okay. So if you had his arms at his side, it would look like they were attached to his sides. But when they had his arms down and like his biceps rotated, it makes the wings stick out backwards, which just looks absolutely atrocious to me.
I just assume that his wing arms are just solid, essentially.
I'm more worried about him than any of them.
Yeah, no, he's
we'll
gonna.
See how, if
he was always
worst
gonna be
comes
the
to
hard
worst,
one.
he gets the flying wings, and I have him in some kind of stance where it looks like he's got his wings attached at all times, and maybe not his arms down.
Yeah.
But
I want to see the stone version. That's all I want. Just show us stone versions official.
Now that would be smart after they've released them all. Make an SDCC box set that has a base of the clock tower
for
with
like
all
what,
the little
$300?
Probably.
Jesus.
Probably. But if you got 5 figures in there, all with a fresh repaint, all with a display base where it's the clock tower base where they can stand on the pillars,
the box
that would be
will
worth
look
$300.
Like they ain't gonna give you
the
a
box.
base.
The box would look like that, but the base would just be that flat part of the stone where they stood at.
Yeah.
They would.
I'm just saying like that would have to be SDCC because nobody else would.
That's what I'm saying. That would be a cool one, and people would be fighting to get that motherfucker, and its secondary market price would be through the goddamn roof.
As many repaints as they've done with Godzilla, Aliens, Predators, like where it's the same fucking figure, and they just immediately repainted it as some other deco. The fact that the stone version is literally no different from the regular one, except they look like stone. It's like they should have been doing stone versions all along, like as parallel releases, but apparently they don't want to do that.
So that's that on those things. I'm trying to think.
That's on those things. That's the most vague statement.
Because I'm trying to remember how long it's been since I've been on here and what I've gotten since then. I've been packing up my masterpiece stuff. Coming up for the big sale to start getting rid of some of this stuff. I am probably 50 bots in so far, and I'm going fucking nuts because before it looked like a mess because I had so many bots on the shelves. Now it's a mess because I have boxes stacked in my fucking office now. So that's
don't feel bad. I'm starting to go through the same thing with mine. Like I started taking stuff out of the closet to start looking through what I want to get rid of.
But these are all unboxed and opened and displayed, and so now and most of them, especially in the Takara stuff that I'm putting away right now, you have to alt mode them to go in their boxes. So I'm having to retransform every fucking thing, find all their accessories, which luckily enough is in one of two places. It's either my toolbox, my tackle box thing that I have for all my accessories, or if I had like towards the end there when I was just kind of unpacking stuff, I had a big like mixing bowl that I would just kind of put all the accessories into. But it's just digging through all these accessories to find these little minute little pieces that go with shit. And I'm already missing and a couple things here and there. I mean, but I'm going to be selling at such cutthroat prices that I'm be like, look, it's missing this and this. Go fuck yourself. I don't care if you don't like it. You're getting it for like a fourth of the fucking retail price. So shut up about it. I'm going to be selling in lots. So like just a for instance, this one isn't nailed down yet, but like I have the Dotson brothers. And when I say I have Dotson brothers, I mean I have 5 Dotson brothers. I have Smokescreen, Streak, Silver Streak, Blue Streak, and Prowl. I have them all. And I'm going to be like, okay, here's this lot of Dotson brothers, $100 plus shipping. Oh, well, I just need Prowl. Yeah, you can have just Prowl for $100 plus shipping, and I'll give you 4 free fucking Dotsons with it. I mean, I'm not breaking them up. You're going to get a lot. It's going to be a cheap ass price. 5 fucking Takara Masterpiece bots for $100 is shit. That's the price of one of those bots when I got them.
Yep.
So
correct.
I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing
65 to 70.
Yep. And I'm gonna be doing shit like that. Like that's not gonna be nailed down yet. I haven't decided how I'm gonna do them yet, but it's gonna be stuff like that. Like my fans toy stuff, I'm be like, boom, here's all the mini bots, you know, X amount of dollars. Well, I just need that. Cool. Then you have all these mini bots for this price, and you do whatever the fuck you want with the ones you don't want. I just want them to fuck out of my house. So I'm not going to be out there I'm not trying to chase the secondary prices. I'm not trying to make money back at this point. Any money that I make back is just extra money. And, you know, people always think of it different. They're like, oh, well, I spent $100. So that means I got to get $100 back. No, it really doesn't. You've already spent that money. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You don't have that money anymore. So any money you get now from them is just money on top of what you have. So I'm not trying to do the eBay chasing. I'm going to post them in groups and be done with it. Cause I'm not chasing secondary prices and stuff like that. And people are going to flip out when they see my prices on these things just cause I want them out of my house. Just to make room to start setting up and getting properly done up in my collection.
Yeah,
room.
don't be surprised. I may hit you up.
Well, I already sold one to Shoky. I already sold one to him. I haven't even packed it up yet. He's already said he wanted one. So I got a shit ton of stuff, man. If you're looking for something specific Dormammu, now's the chance to send me a list because I probably had that motherfucker. And we can work it out from there. So tell me what you're missing and I'll tell you if I got it. So I've been doing that. The one thing I will mention, because I'm pretty sure there's gonna be no crossover on it, is I started watching The Expanse finally. Since I was stuck at home for a week. I'm into season 3 now. Really liking that show. Like I see why so many people talk so good about it. It's really cool show. That's the only thing that drives me nuts is the talking, the weird belter talking. And that's just because my brain immediately wants me to rewind it and play it again so I can try to figure out what the fuck they're saying. So I have to keep reminding myself to just go for context clues. Just you can figure it out. You'll be fine. So been doing that. Watched Jurassic Park Dominion with the kids this weekend.
The extended cut?
Yes. And see, okay, so here's I get to tell a little story now. About the Twat Waffle, my ex-wife. Now Jurassic Park has always been a thing with me and the boys. Like they'd never seen it before. The first Jurassic Park to this day is still one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. We were talking about I was talking about music. My kids are really big into music too, like I am. And we were talking about it. And to this day, that scene in Jurassic Park where you might even hear me choke up talking about it, but like where she's like looking at the leaf saying this leaf shouldn't be here, you know, this plant's been extinct for 1 million years, and he just like reaches down and tilts her head up and it turns to the brontosaurus standing above them, the brachiosaurus standing above them, and the music swells dun, 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 and then it goes out over the lake and you see all the dinosaurs there. Dude, I like, there you go, it's already catching in the back of my throat. Like it hits me every fucking time. Like it is beautifully shot, beautifully scored. Just that moment is perfection in a movie to me. It's to this day, it is still the movie I've seen the most in the movie theater. I saw it 12 times the summer it came out. My closest second place now is The Batman. I saw 4 times in theaters. But that's still 30 years later, that's my record for movies in a theater. And so Jurassic Park's always been one of my things. Like I just love it. And it's dinosaurs and it's cool as fuck. And the graphics still stand up 30 years later. People are still making shows using the graphic engines used in this movie 30 years ago. And so when my oldest is big into dinosaurs, like he's a super scary smart kind of nerd. Not bragging because I really got nothing to do with that, you know, except for 10 seconds worth of humping and pumping. But he's scary smart. And since he was young, he always told us, you know, I told my wife, Karen and I, that when he grows up, he wants to go to college and he wants to be a veterinarian because he loves animals. But he wants to, and now mind you, at the time he was like 7 telling us this, but he phrased it like this. He goes, I want to be a veterinarian so I can work with animals. I'm like, I don't even know how you got here. But he's like, I want to do my undergraduate. And I'm like, how do you even know this term and what it means? It was funny at the time. But he's like, I want to do my undergraduate studies in paleontology. And to hear a 7-year-old tell you they want to be a paleontologist as an undergraduate degree was the funniest shit. But
well,
then
that's just in case they managed to clone dinosaurs.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. I asked him why. He said, because to understand how to help animals that we have now, we have to understand animals that were here before. And I'm like, well, fuck you, you little 7-year-old genius scaring the fuck out of me with your thought processing. It was like, he's very deep thinker, and so if he feels if he studies the past, that's going to help him with his working on animals nowadays and into the future. So he's always been big into dinosaurs. And so I finally got to do the whole, let's sit down, have dad son bonding moment. We sat down and watched the original Jurassic Parks. And they, of course, love them. They've watched them multiple times, over and over and over and over. Like my oldest takes piano lessons, and I played piano since I was younger. So I'll still walk by every once in a while. I think I mentioned this talking to you guys, is walk by, I'll just hit the I'll turn the piano on and just play that, just because I love that music. That's probably one of my favorite scores of all time. And so it's always been a big thing for us. Well, I've also, ironically, how I talk and act, if people have been paying attention, I'm also very old schoolish and protective of my kids and what I allow them to intake, and pay very close attention to their ages and what I think is appropriate for them. So I've never let them watch Jurassic World. And they asked me, because I don't tell them just no, just because I said no. If I say no, I try to give them a reason so they understand. And I said, it's a lot more violent than the old ones. Like the old ones had all the killing and stuff in it, but it was more hinted at. You didn't really see too, like the bloodiest part about Jurassic Park 1 was Arnold's arm falling out of that wiring onto her shoulder. Mm-hmm. But you didn't see him get eaten. You just saw a bloody stump fall out. These newer ones, they're showing people getting like shredded and ripped apart and stuff. So I said, give it a little time. You guys are a little too young. I'm not too super keen on you seeing this just yet. I'm not saying it's a no, just let's give it some time. And so the first two they never got to see. And now the third one's out. They're older. My oldest is about to be 13 and my youngest is about to be 11. So I'm like, okay, now you guys are, I think, old enough and more mature enough. I watch them and how they handle stuff, emotional stuff, and make sure I feel they're ready for it. So I told them, I was like, we're going to sit down this weekend and we're going to watch the first two, and then we'll watch the third one. So sat down, burned through the first two. They loved them. Well, they loved the first one, which I agree with, and the second one was okay. And they're ready for the third one. So we start to watch the third one, and their mom called. So we paused it. They went and talked to them, and they told her what they were doing. Well, I don't listen in on their phone calls. They're there, but I don't like sit with my ear to the phone. I don't make them put on speakerphone. I try to keep it private. I'll make them stop any TV or anything they're doing and pay attention to their mom while they're on the phone. Well, I guess I figured out later she was giving them shit about watching the new Jurassic Park with me. Because when they got done, I unpaused the movie, and we made it like the first 45 minutes into the movie, and I look over at my youngest, and he's like, he just seemed off. So I was like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. And as soon as he says nothing, I know it's something. So I paused it, and I was like, no, that's not how we work around here. We talk to each other. If something's bothering you, you need to let me know so I can either fix it or help you work through it yourself. And he literally broke down crying, like ugly crying. And when he was able to catch his breath and talk to me, he said their mom had given him crap on the phone because she wanted to watch this movie with them, and they were watching it with me instead of with her. And he's sobbing and crying. He's like, but I want to watch it with you, but I don't want her upset, and da-da-da. And I was like, look, man, I love you. I said, there's choices that we make as parents, and I'm going to show you this is my choice. I said, we're going to stop this movie. I said, when you get back over to your mom's house, you watch it with her. And he immediately started, no, I want to watch it with you. I was like, wait. I was like, you watch it with her to make her happy. I said, when you come back, we'll watch it again. me and you. And that way, everybody's copacetic. You shouldn't have to deal with this. You shouldn't have to be worrying about upsetting me or your mother. So I'm going to remove myself from the board. So us watching this movie together right now is no longer available. I said, let's just find something else to do. So he finally calmed down, and we I don't know, played a game or something. And I called after they went to bed. I called her back, and oh no, they went home the next day because that was Sunday. So they went home Monday after school, back to her house. And when I called to talk to them that day, I said, let me talk to your mom for a second. And they put her on the phone, and I said, are you on speakerphone? She's like, no. I was like, are the kids by you? She said, yeah. I was like, get up and get away from them. And I laid into her about how she made him feel and acting like that. She's like, well, it's not fair because you said they weren't allowed to watch it. I was like, yeah, 3 years ago when they were younger and it was too much for them. This is now. Well, that's not fair. You get to. I'm like, dude, I am the nerd. Between me and you, I am the nerd. They've seen Super Pets. Did they get to see that with me? No. They saw that with you. They got to see Minions. Did they see that with me? No, they got to see that with you. You want to do all these things with them and then tell me I'm out of place for doing something else with them. I said, but here's the deal. I stopped it. He hasn't watched it yet. He's going to watch it with you to make you happy. And so they watched it, and he when I talked to him, he said, here's what we did, Dad. We watched the regular version with her, and we're going to wait and watch the extended version with you. So, of course, that weekend comes around, boom, I have COVID. So now my kids aren't coming over here because I'm not going to expose them to it. So I had to give up my time with them. And so that week went by, and then this past weekend, I was still positive and hadn't gotten through all my symptoms yet. So I was telling them, I was like, look, I'm not going to get you this week either, where you're just going to stay at your mom's. I don't want y'all getting sick again. And so Saturday I had to go back to work because they have to retest me because I'm vaccinated and boosted. The timing is different than somebody who isn't. And as long as I pop negative, I'm allowed to return back to work after 5 days or 7 days, whatever it was. And so I went in and I popped negative. And so I immediately called her. I was like, hey, I'm on to kids. I'm negative. Give me my kids now. I've already lost, 3 days with them, but I'm on them at least for this one day because I have them till they go back to school on Monday. So got them Sunday. We immediately watched the extended cut, and the whole damn time they're like, this is new. This is new. This is new. I'm like, look, guys, stop telling me it's new because it's all new to me. I haven't seen any of this. You can tell me after the movie's done. So after we finished the movie, they broke it down nerd style, telling me all the differences between the two, which was awesome to do with them. And it still blows my mind to see what they pay attention to and what they retain and carry over and stuff. So long story short, got to watch that with the kids this weekend finally.
Nice. And see, with mine, so my daughter, I've had conversations with my daughter before because she's watched the kids version of the Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous on Netflix. So she's like, "Am I ready to go watch? Can I watch the Jurassic Park movies?" And she's younger, and I'm like, well, it does have language, it does have a lot of scary, it does have a lot of this, and she's like, okay, maybe I'll wait. But in the same respect, I kind of feel you where there's a certain age where you reach where the kids reach where you're like, okay, they should be ready for this point. And I kind of play it by the same level where I was at, where I'm like, okay, by the time I was 10, let's say, I was ready for this movie. By the time I was 13, I was more ready for this movie. So questions like, well, what about, because one of the topics has been, especially with Halloween, they play the Ghostbusters theme song. They know enough about Ghostbusters, but they've never actually watched the movie. And of course, Ghostbusters has, it has language, it has certain things in it. And I'm not trying to be prudent about it, but I'm trying to bring them in at a time where it's easier to discuss with them and for them to kind of get the whole gist of it without it being. But in the same respect, during the summer, my daughter was like, "Can I watch Hamilton?" And I'm thinking, okay, I've listened to the Hamilton soundtrack 15 billion times. Well, apparently the version that was aired on Disney Plus actually has all of the language, all of the information that you could possibly ever want. Yeah. So my daughter and I watched it, and I said, and she's like, "Oh, there's bad words in this." I said, "You know what? We're going to keep watching this, but if you have questions, I want you to ask those questions." And I felt like emotionally and developmentally, she was at the point where that could be something we could have discussions about. And she's like, okay, so she's asking questions about certain things. Okay, did Hamilton cheat on his wife? Did Hamilton, like certain aspects of it that are historical? And I'm like, yes, this is a thing. And in certain cases, I was like looking up on Wikipedia about this or that. And after a while, she was like, can we just turn off the captions? It's like, I'm tired of reading the bad words at times. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so we get to like the next scene, and she's like, okay, let's turn on the captions back on because I'm not really getting what they're saying. And so she, again, like, it's a matter of like, at what point, kind of breaking your oldest into it. But also like, it was just her and I and not my youngest, because I don't want him picking up on that, because he does pick up on a lot of the cues of his older sister. And it happens. Like, you start, he's going to be the one with more attitude sooner because he picks that up from his older sister. But in the same respect, we're also going to keep him at a distance until he's ready enough, so that we don't feel like we're growing one up too fast and one up too slow.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you,
I totally get that. I totally get that.
You got a little story about it happening to you with your kids. I'll tell y'all the funny one that happened to me with my kids was Spider-Man. What was the first one?
Spider-Man.
Homecoming.
Oh, Homecoming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So take my kid. Of course, my oldest loves Spider-Man. That's his superhero. So of course, when these are coming out, super excited that it's coming. We're gonna go see it. We go premiere weekend. We make a whole big thing out of it. So we're in there watching the movie. And it gets to the part towards the end where Ned's in there doing he's the computer backup guy in the school library or whatever. He's the guy in the chair. And the teacher or whoever comes in, they're like, "What are you in here doing?"
Watching porn.
And he's like, "Yes." He says, "Watching porn." Now, everybody kind of giggles a little. And then you hear my youngest, who, let's see, this movie's what, 4 years old now? 5 years old?
4, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like 6 or 7 at the time.
What's porn?
Exactly. Dad, what's porn? And then you hear everybody kind of snicker, like the whole theater heard this because, it's quiet. And they snickered a little. And I was like, it's adult movies that you're not allowed to watch. Why? He's like, because I'm a kid, not an adult. And I was like, exactly. So don't ask about it no more. And he said, yes, sir. And like the whole, like the audience just started laughing and cheering and clapping and stuff just for that moment, because it was so like, I didn't know what to do. And then my dad handled it, and he handled it as like a respectful child instead of a little shithead screaming about how they wanted to know about porn. Like my kids are very respectful. So he handled it in a way most people didn't expect, especially at such a young age. And they just kind of, clapped and cheered and laughed about it a little. But oh my God, that moment he did it, I felt my heart jump into the back of my throat. Like, oh fuck, here we go. It's that moment I haven't been dreading, waiting for this one.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew over, but it was like a fun little moment. And so I got really big into the whole, hey man, you're going to hear people say bad words. Like y'all hear me talk. I cuss like a drunken sailor sometimes. But around my kids, you would think I was some kind of priest or something, the way I talk and act. Like I don't cuss. I'm like very, like I work hard at it, and I slip. I mean, I'm a human being. I slip up every once in a while.
See, I think
actually, if I can interject, I have the funniest story from yesterday, and this literally just happened. The kids had off yesterday. We decided, my wife and I, since we both work at home, we took them out to lunch and just to a place nearby. And we're sitting outside at the table waiting for our food. Guy passes by in a blown out Mustang where the muffler is literally like he's either put on the full kit to make it as loud as possible, or he's just missing one. And he's going by and it's and And my wife blurts out after he passes by, didn't even think about it. Tell us you have a big dick without telling us you have a little one.
I was gonna say, tells you have a small dick.
Right. My kids just look at my wife like, huh? What does that mean? I look at my wife and I'm like, honey,
you get to handle this.
She goes, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to say that out loud.
No, you didn't mean to say it in front of your kids. You meant to say it out loud.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
exactly.
I've kind of stuck with the whole adults say certain words, you might hear them, but don't repeat them type things. And my kids are pretty good about it. Like the only cuss words my kid has ever said was my oldest when he was like 3. He said, damn. And this is when I was still with my ex-wife. And I looked at, because she's always telling me the way I talk. She's like, our kids are going to be cussing because you cuss all the time. I'm like, I don't cuss around them. And they don't hear what I'm saying. And she's like, they're going to cuss because of you. And he pulled out, damn. That was his thing. He said, damn. And I looked right at her and I said, your fucking fault. She's like, what? I'm like, I don't say damn very often. Damn is your favorite.
You don't have to say it often.
Like, but
I'm saying, to be heard.
But what I'm saying is she says it constantly. She's like, I'm going to go to the damn store to get some damn groceries. I'm going to take the damn car and I'm going to be right back in a damn minute. Like she said damn.
As far as he knows, that's a brand.
Yeah. Like
it's
it was
damn
just
brand.
Constant. Yeah.
It's the goddamn TV. Yeah.
And I was like, aha, it was you. You were so worried about me and it was your little fuck mouth that got him cussing.
So I think one of the funniest things, since we're on this topic here, obviously I don't have kids yet, but I wish I could
hear that,
have...
Jessica? He said, yet. Prepare yourself.
No, yet has been the thing. So one of the funniest things I've ever heard, because I follow Bert Kreischer and his podcast and everything like that, and on Instagram he posts a lot of Instagram stories, and he was talking about his youngest, Isla. Bert Kreischer, comedian?
No, I said oops because I accidentally knocked everything.
I said who. Sorry. Anyways, for those who don't know, he's a comedian. He's the Machine. Everybody look up The Machine on YouTube. So he was talking about how Isla's 16th birthday was coming up. That's his youngest daughter. His oldest daughter just turned 18. She's about to go off to college. And she's adult as fuck. Like she's, done drugs and everything like that. Never really been interested in drinking, but like done everything responsibly because she's watched her dad do it not responsibly her entire life. But Isla is somewhat special needs. She grew up with a sensory... What is that called? The one of those things where
sensory deprivation?
No, like a sensory processing situation. Like
okay.
So she actually had to go
overload type thing.
Something. Yeah. So whenever she was little, like she went to what they called brain camp, or what she called brain camp, where they did some therapy and the I think they did the magnet treatment to her brain. I think is what they did, and it actually fixed everything, surprisingly. But she's always been weird. Like she's just always been a super weird kid. Definitely has different thought processes to everyone in the family. Whereas her dad cusses professionally. Her mom cusses a lot. I don't know if she cusses around them, but she does cuss a lot. Even Georgia, his oldest, definitely would curse just, with her friends and whatnot. Isla, on the other hand, has literally said, oh, I'm 16 now. Does that mean I can say my first curse word? And she's like, I got to figure out what my first legal curse word's going to be. And they're like, what? She thought she legally couldn't cuss until she was 16.
That's awesome.
But nobody told her that. That was just her brain. Her brain went, I can't cuss because I'm not old enough yet. So just take a random guess what her first curse word she decided on was.
Cunt.
Yes, you got it right the first time. Yes.
Nice.
She went with cunt.
I was just trying to think of the most craziest thing.
So like she had spent time thinking about what she wanted her first curse word to be. And I think like legitimately, like I don't know if she meant like she had never said the word or she never used the word, like in actually the curse form, so it was just so funny. Yes, it was cunt, which I thought was hilarious. But they're talking to her about it on her birthday. She's like, I think I want it to be cunt. Like, and everybody just laughs out there. But it's just so funny. Like, Bert gets so much material just from his kids. Like, all comedic dads usually do. But, like, his kids are very, very special in a way. Speaking of which, what you were talking about with the loud exhaust and stuff like that, since we live right here next to a busy highway, right next to a red light on a long stretch straight of road, straight stretch of road, people like to fucking drag race right here, right? And so we hear all manner of vehicle being incredibly loud. But it used to be as like, oh, look, see how special they are? It's like, they want it that loud, so they know. They want you to know they're special. It's like, so that's the way I used to always say it. I don't do the big dick, small dick thing, because that just gets old, especially with, like, they always say, oh, look at a dude with a huge jacked up truck and all that shit. He must have a tiny penis. It's like, no, he just wants you to feel like he's special. So, either way.
So that was a long, because I haven't been around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you haven't. Yeah.
I probably missed some stuff here and there.
Yeah.
Like I watched stuff and
Rob
shit,
missed
and
something.
I don't remember
that I recalled when I was taking a piss.
What's that?
He read.
So hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
So Dormammu, I want you to understand, he was thinking about you while his dick was in his hand. So
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
He read the Shattered Grid story from Power Rangers comics.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that is true. Yes, I did. Yeah. I did finish the Shattered Grid compendium.
Because I think the last time we got together, you mentioned you were getting it, but you hadn't read it yet.
Nope, got it borrowed. I borrowed it from a friend, and shout out to my friend Merrick, and it was quite good. I finished it within 5 days, literally I think 4 days, 4 nights.
Nice. And how about that? You just reminded me of something else I forgot.
Yeah.
So
but it was I really enjoyed it for sure.
And that's a Power Ranger thing, right?
Yes.
No, that's a Power Ranger. No, I'm going to step back for a second because Shoki loves talking Power Rangers, and now he has somebody to talk it with. So go.
No, I'm good.
So I think from the whole perspective, I definitely now need to read, just like you, Aftermath.
Yeah.
And kind of pick up from there. But
I would say just go ahead and do Comixology, make your life easy.
I'm gonna say if somebody gives me the digital copy of them in order, I'll read them.
Yeah, because it's inexpensive on Comixology. Like if you're not already in it, there's no point in purchasing it. Like for me, obviously I've got the collections, I've got the Lucy's, so I'm already there.
I'm not one of those types, wink, but there is a website called getcomics.com, wink, that I would never tell anybody to go check out, wink, where they have lots of digital stuff that you can download, wink, without having to pay for it, wink. But don't ever do that.
Rikkii, Rikkii, your mic is making a weird noise.
I don't. It
keeps interrupting your talking.
It's this cheapo brand that you talked me into and didn't get me the cool one like you told Dormammu about, because mine doesn't have a volume thing, so it's a piece of shit.
Well, that one didn't exist yet whenever you bought yours. That was literally a brand new product. That's why. So he got the upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I want it now because I'm gonna swap my other one out from my phone.
Yeah, but you have physical. You're a physical copy guy. I'm talking about good, quick, fast. Like I literally have every Batman comic. I think I mentioned it before, from literally Detective Comics 27 all the way up until pre-New 52 in chronological order. All of them, and that's. A friend of mine told me about that website, and I was like, I'm not going to go there and get it for free. I would rather buy all these comics, which is what I did instead, and got them digitally. But if you wanted to, they do have stuff like that also available, and they had all the Transformers available on there, and there's lots of comics on there, and from what I hear, because I would never,
of course,
I would never ever tell anybody
from what we've
to check
heard,
out getcomics.com. I would never tell somebody to go there and check it out.
Yes, while you're doing all your other paid activities, you heard about this site that has
I heard
potentially
about this
free
because
things.
The place where I buy stuff from, they're like, don't ever go over here because it costs us money. So I'm like, okay, and then maybe you're a big Planeteer, maybe you were big into Captain Planet when you were a kid and you want to save the world. Do your part by going green, by not having pictures on paper. You can use it digitally and read the same exact story and save the universe at the same time. So good for you guys. But I'm not that guy. I'm paying for everything. I would never go to getcomics.com and download the free digitals and then just put a digital reader on a tablet and just read that way. I would never do something like that. But I guess you could if you wanted to.
They better sponsor us. They better sponsor us at this point.
Bro. How are they going to sponsor? This is a website that gives shit away for free. Where are they going to sponsor us from?
Their ad revenue.
Well, they probably do have ad revenue. I wouldn't know. I've never been there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And if you do, you have ad blocker anyways.
It's the one you should stay away from. Yeah.
Yeah, don't go there.
Don't go there and look
personally. I say purchase all of your comics and/or movies legally.
And if you're wanting to own it for forever and be a supporter, comics
support your local retailers and/or comics.
Go to your local comic book store, or you can go to mycomicshop.com, where I tend to buy mine online because they're at least a Texas-based comic book company.
I know BBTS has like all the IDW.
They've got a lot of hardcover collections, and I'm looking at that.
And those are going to go up in price. So if anybody's sitting on the fence about buying
telling
those,
them. Don't tell them the price is going to go up.
As soon as IDW ends, those prices are going to fucking skyrocket, because then everybody's like, "Oh my god, I want it now!"
See, they should be printing them like crazy right now.
And let's not forget to shout out to your local library too.
I don't know.
What the fuck's a library?
You can get them from the library too.
A library. It's a library.
Right now. Library. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
It's a library.
Talking about the place with all the books and the free porn. Got it.
Yep. That's where you can go and rent. You can still rent VHSs.
This is what an education in the South gets you.
Yep.
Hey, first of all our educators are up there. So.
Damn Yankees.
I love when people try to shit on Florida. I'm like, everybody down here is from New York and New Jersey, so I don't know what the fuck they're on about. Yeah, like everybody's like, they're always like, "Oh, fuck Florida." I'm like, "Motherfucker, we're you guys." like even people I know from up there, like, we don't count Florida as part of the South because it's just retired New Yorkers. Like, the South ends at the Florida border.
Florida's its own thing.
Yeah,
it's America's Wang.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're the dangling taint.
Yeah. So can I go now?
Mm-hmm.
Since Rikki talked for literally an hour.
Are you done, Dormammu? I had 3 weeks to catch up on you, motherfuckers.
Dude, we had 2 weeks as well.
Shoky, by all means.
Yes. Okay, so I'm not going to go over everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks, but I did remember that I did get some comics last week. So I'm still.
And baseball started.
Oh yeah, baseball's back up. Yep. So I picked up a what they call the Megazord pack from Boom Comics. It was a 5-pack of variant covers, realistically. So it was like the only place you could get these variant covers. So I said, fuck it, for like $30. I got all 5 of those. I was like, yeah, the new ones haven't dropped yet. So I forgot that I had pre-ordered comics, like the big issues coming out, like Power Rangers number 100, that kind of stuff. So I had those pre-ordered. So, and what I found out why my stuff hadn't shipped from mycomicshop.com was the fact that they were linked to my pre-orders. So my pre-orders were set to ship once they come in. All the stuff I ordered to be put in my box to be shipped later won't ship until those pre-orders come in. So I was like, why the fuck have I been waiting on these comics for like 3 months now? And that's what they told me. So I got to fix that. So either way, this should be coming in this week, if I remember correctly. Tomorrow should be when my pre-orders drop. So happy day on that. Other than that, I need to get back to reading comics, but I've been so busy building fucking model kits for Double October that I haven't been able to do much of anything else but build, review, and watch stuff while I'm building. So I'm pretty deep in the middle of that. I've got seven more builds to do within the next couple weeks, and got to get all that reviewed because Double October starts on the 1st, but I had the first week and most of the second week already done. So for those who don't know, over on the main Shoky channel, that's my my yearly event, Double October, celebrating Gundam 00 series, where I do all the kits and shit focused around that series. And as I just announced Monday morning, I believe it was, or was it Sunday morning, it is the final season, if it were, of Double October. So yeah, it's not going to exist in this form anymore, mostly for this reason, where I have to do a month's worth of content in roughly 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then scramble to get it all fucking done. It's a nightmare. It is the most stress I put on myself, other than trying to edit one of these episodes in the same day that it needs to go up. That's the second level of stress other than that.
Which we've done a couple times, y'all. Y'all have no idea about the magic behind the curtain.
Yeah, me scrambling to edit shit fast. But as long as it's not I recorded it and then I get to it a week later, then I forget everything I needed to edit out or fix. That's the worst part. But I do have an announcement that'll be coming up near the end of the month. That month, of the future of the series as it is. It's just not going to exist in its current form. That's the first place I've talked about it, but because so many people from my main channel don't listen to this, they won't know. Yay. But either way, because I have had to be watching things while doing that, we've still got many episodes of She-Hulk to catch up on. I'm still loving the show. I'm sure Rikki's still hating it.
The last episode, which I believe is what episode?
The wedding.
The wedding episode.
6? The wedding. Again, it kind of reinforces that have at itness that I absolutely have come to enjoy with the show. I love that it's able to not so much poke fun at itself, but poke fun at everybody that it knows will be poking fun at it.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
I love it.
I enjoy watching it with the wife the second time, but when I'm watching it strictly as a nerd watching nerd-based stuff, it is fucking dumb.
I think that the one thing about it, and I've had this argument online with people who are just constantly just ripping it apart. Oh, it's not the Marvel thing. It's like, guys, they told you this was going to be a legal dramedy. Why are you even remotely surprised by them giving you exactly what they told you they were going to give you? It's like they'll do the nerd stuff in the background, which is all they've been doing. Like the real story of the show has been happening in the background. It's just about to come to the foreground with this next or this last episode that happened. We finally see who our main antagonists of the series are, in a way.
Right.
We get, and I had this argument with somebody who called this a filler episode. I'm like, what filler?
The whole show is a giant fucking filler.
No. Well, I mean, yes. every series is a filler if you want to go there.
This show is literally just a fucking filler. Like, if this show didn't exist and we went from, what was the last big thing we had before this?
Thor.
Okay, so if you went straight from Thor to Wakanda Forever, nothing bad would happen in the MCU. If this didn't exist, it would not affect anything negatively at all in the MCU. So when that something like that happens, that means it is unnecessary, which means it's all filler. It's pure fluff.
Yeah, but this is just what comics do. You have side stories, you have other characters, you have...
But that's the problem, is they're not making a side story.
You have 36
it's
different
her main
characters.
Story.
Yeah, but it's not part of what's happening in the main MCU.
And I know you still get mad about it, but my problem is calling it Attorney at Law, man. That is a different type of She-Hulk than what they're presenting. And they're calling it one thing and giving you something else. So it'd be like calling something Superman and making it a show about Clark Kent. That's not the same thing. Those are two different characters. It's not She-Hulk.
And I think I mentioned this was on I think I mentioned on a conversation that Shoky and I had where you weren't on, Rikki, was that it kind of breaks that fifth wall for you, where it's the premise of what the character should be versus what it actually ends up becoming for what's portrayed in the media.
Yep.
It is.
You told me it was going to be this, and it ended up being that instead.
And it ended up being that, right? Exactly. And that, and so that's why at that point I was like, well, you're both right on this point, because it is something that is. I
listened to that episode where Shoky had arguments against me without me being able to defend myself on there. I heard that episode too, just like everybody else did.
It was great,
jackass.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because I get tired of arguing with you and trying to get a point in.
It's great when it's an echo chamber and you don't have anybody.
Oh, I don't need an echo chamber. I just need to be able to actually say the words, because half the time you don't let me talk.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm enjoying the show. I think
it's okay. Like I said,
it's great.
You actually put me onto how I enjoy it, and that is when I watch it with Kara.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy watching it with her because she does not look at it the same way I do, and so when I watch it with her, I'm watching it from her point of view, and I enjoy it for what it is.
And I think
it is bad.
And it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't understand why people don't like it. I just don't care that they don't like it.
And I'm gonna tell you from our perspective, we don't care that you do like it. You see, that's what I'm saying. So you can't make the stance that we're wrong because we don't agree with you. We don't care that you do like it. It's trash.
Yeah. See, the main reason I look at it is because when I see something that somebody else likes, but I don't, I'm curious as to what it is about that thing that makes other people like it, and so I investigate said thing. And go, okay, do I like this? Do I not like this? Because there's something to this. And like, if it just doesn't click, it just doesn't click. But if there's something I feel like I'm missing, I mean, we had this discussion with Rob the other day in the chat about, what were you hating on the other day, Rob?
ANDOR.
That's the other thing that came on. Yeah.
Fucking wrong.
So
and that's another thing.
Hold on. Hold on.
About.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. Ricky and I all told you were wrong for your opinion, but here Ricky just said he doesn't care that if someone likes it or doesn't like it. So you just went against your point, Ricky, about what you just said.
How did I go against my point?
Because you're telling him he's wrong for not liking it.
No, I said he's wrong for the reasons why he said.
See, it doesn't matter the reasons he doesn't
but
like
again, it. But again, we're allowed to have opposing point of views.
Just to preface this,
but we also talked about it with him and gave him a different way to look at it, which is exactly what I did with She-Hulk because of you. I look at it differently with Kara.
Well, let him explain.
Right.
Let him explain real quick, since we did.
So with ANDOR, I watched through the first 3 episodes like most others, and I found that it was a very slow burn. I mentioned in the chat to Ricky and Shoki that I felt like it was a cure for insomnia because it wasn't. It was dragging along elements of all the cast where it's sort of like, please get to this point. I understand what their motivations are, and that was my perspective. But from their perspective, they're looking at it from, well, this is something that is building up a world and building up the universe, and they're actually doing it in a way that doesn't feel like it's so rushed or so like, it's not the boom pow that everybody expects. And
should we actually read should we read your exact comment real quick? So
you're welcome to.
Okay,
yes.
So Yawn, if you ever want a cure for insomnia, just watch the first 3 episodes of ANDOR. Dear Lord, it's so dragged out they could have called this Cassian Boredom, Bored Solo, Kylo Yawn, the Boring Lorian. You could have done better there. It's the Mandalorian. Come on.
I could have done better there.
Yeah, it's Mandalorian. Come on. Either way, it's like watching a glimpse of life from the slums of Calcutta, bleak with a lot of Stellan Skarsgård. So that was a very
that's how I initially felt. But then they were like, "You're completely wrong." And
it's not that you're wrong. It's the same thing. Like I take up very black and white arguments, like especially like how Shoki's saying, like with the She-Hulk thing. But people have not been paying attention. I've also said that I listened to what Shoki said, and it does change my perspective when I look at it differently because I watch it through Kara's eyes. It doesn't change how I personally feel about it.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
See,
and that's what I was kind of getting at, because I did actually, once I thought about episode 3 and went through it, I told him, I was like, okay, fine, I'll approach this again with an open mind. And I think that's part of what it is that fans don't go at it with open minds anymore. They just go at it and expect what they expect, and that's it, because they'll watch once and they won't bother again.
That is the backbone of this show.
I don't know if it's the open-minded part. It's the same thing how, like I said, the attorney at law means you're telling me it's this, but you're showing me that. Everybody hears Star Wars.
Me it's they think
it's space opera, action adventure, good times, laser blast, and lightsabers. That's what they hear when you say Star Wars. Now, just like I told you in the chat, if you watch this, negate the Star Wars part of it. If you watch this like you would a James Bond movie, especially the modern James Bond movies, they're super slow, super tedious, lots of storytelling, and it'd be long sections of just talking and not really anything happening, and then action set piece. More long sections of stuff talking and then action set piece. If you look at this through that lens, it changes your availability to enjoy it, because this is a spy
You're
drama.
completely correct. Yeah. And
it's
that's
not a space.
And when you
opera.
said that, that's when it really clicked for me. Yeah. When you said that, that's when it really clicked for me, because you were right. Ricky was right.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to whisper. Shout it loud. We all know. Hills are alive with the sound of music, motherfucker. We all know.
So,
because I also said Shoki was right, because him saying if you're looking at it as a strict, I'm a comic nerd purist, it's gonna be hard to enjoy She-Hulk, which is how I watch it when I watch it by myself.
Which I think is
if you look at it through the eyes,
people.
If you look at it through the eyes of a normie, or even a normie that's kind of touching the edges of nerddom stuff. If you look at it from there, you can enjoy it a little more, which is how I end up enjoying it with Kara. I just don't like to say Shoki's right, because he got a big old fat head anyways, and gonna bobble off his shoulders if I keep saying that shit. So, but I do put it into action. I might talk and take a "fuck you, you're wrong" stance, but I do put it into action differently.
So I did
but again,
have
you
to.
can also take the tactic with a lot of shows like that too, where it's sort of like, well, it's not exactly what I expected it.
Yeah.
But then you start thinking about it, where you're like, oh, well, this does make more sense in the long run.
I think if this was, if you remove Star Wars from the title and it just seemed like a generic spy space western, everybody would be fine with it. But because everybody goes in with, but the thing is, what they should have called this Andor a Rogue One story. Would have made more sense. I know that, like, I'm just saying to tie it to Rogue One away from the main series,
away from the main
but
line.
I think
like the story instead of the saga.
I think more than anything, it's the Star Wars burnout, and then the fact that it's a very, very, very different show from what we've gotten. I mean, dude, the sets,
and it's also chasing on the heel of a bad show.
Yeah, well,
you know, not Obi-Wan, not Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
not Obi-Wan. I'm talking.
You're talking about Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett,
which was bad.
Yeah.
The only good parts about Boba Fett, yes, it was. It was trash. First of all, and I'm gonna say it until my lips fall off.
You can say
Boba Fett is a super overrated trash character, anyways. Yeah. And people are stupid for loving him so much because he is dumb.
He is.
Just a very one-dimensional character. Yes, I know the EU and all the books made him way cooler than he actually is. Yeah. But for people who haven't spent their lives with their nose in Star Wars novels, and by the way, I've read all of them. But that's a separate thing than the movie. And from the movies, you get like 5 minutes and 4 words from that motherfucker. Fuck all the George Lucas refixes. The original movies, he's literally on screen like 5 times and he says 4 words. Who the fuck cares about that dude?
And he goes out like a chump.
Yeah, I don't even know about the action adventure story of the fucking garbage compactor. I don't need any of that extra shit. That doesn't build the universe for me. It's you wasting time when you could be. Andor builds on the Star Wars mythology. Yeah. Boba Fett was literally just Disney saying, hey, remember Boba Fett? You guys like Boba Fett? Here's our dick, suck on it for a while. That show was trash.
So this was kind of a conversation I had with Bobby like a long time ago when I interviewed him. And he said there's a big difference between doing Star Wars and growing Star Wars.
Yep.
And most of the movies and other stuff like that, or even the series, have been doing Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I think that this show, because it's doing so much more and isn't just surrounding the Skywalker clan, that it is growing Star Wars in a way. Now, mind you, we already know how this ends, but the journey is what we absolutely don't know. And that's the important part. And I like the parallel storytelling of it in the first few episodes where we're seeing him as a kid and how he gets to hear, especially in the 3rd episode where they're like almost synced up, like showing the events to him happening as a kid and very similar stuff to this. And I do love the Facebook censor guys coming in to the Facebook army guys coming in to chase him down. I thought it was weird, like the initial reason they were after him. I was like, okay, so I already knows people are after him for something, and then of course he does commit a thing which specifically gets them after him. But it's interesting to see it's not the Empire specifically that's coming after him, it's a corporation, because these are corporate settlements. Well, the corporation would have existed anyways, because we've seen large corporations basically take over entire systems in Clone Wars, you know? We see all these massive things, so it makes sense.
Yeah, the banking.
So even if they're not directly,
how did you describe it, Shoky? The Facebook police of the Imperial Empire.
I said the corporate militia of the Empire.
Militia.
So they're not technically empirical. They're just a giant corporation that is they respond to said empire as it goes.
It'd be like if Facebook knocked on your door instead of putting an algorithm after you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Twitter.
Actually, I was going to say it's more like building security.
Yeah, in a way.
It's more like building security.
But building security, that's not a bunch of old retirees, and these guys have actual guns and will kill you.
So I did fall asleep for a few minutes in episode 2, I think it was. And so when I woke up, I backed up a little bit, but I thought I was where I left off. It was just a similar looking scene. So I missed how the corporation knew his name and where he was. And then I found out later that dude reported him. So to me, I was like, they used their corporate hackery and information on everyone to find him. I was like, it literally is Facebook come to life, and then I find out no, the dude just reported him because he was jealous of the chick. Snitched on him. I was like, okay, that makes way more sense. But then of course that dude got his.
And the best part about this so far, not a single fucking sand planet yet. Fucking
so far,
loving it. Did you know that Star Wars has planets that aren't covered in fucking dirt? Because I know that now.
Or a whole city, like it's just nothing. Like the junkyard planet, basically, or just completely submerged. Like it's an actual somewhat normal environment. It's interesting.
Like I loved when they were taking off, like in the third one. Did you watch the third one yet, Robert?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I finished it. Like when they were taking off, leaving the city, and they were like going over, like you could see like the little fish farms and the rice paddies and all that stuff. Like when they were, I thought that was cool. Actually, show some agriculture.
And they showed the agriculture
people
stuff,
living there. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this it's going to be an interesting series watching the birth of the rebellion as it is. So, and getting it really organized instead of just factions. And I like that we're going to get Saw Gerrera later on.
Somebody else had made a point too that what you're going to see is going to be very different because you have to go from the understanding that some of the leaders of the Rebel Alliance were actually Imperial officers, like Mon Mothma, like some of the others, and these are
I think she was a senator.
That aren't she was a senator, but she was apparently like they're taking it from a historical. Supposedly she was also an Imperial backer at one point. Like she,
they choose sides.
Like once the Empire raised up and took over with the Chancellor, the Senate all worked for the Imperials.
Right, it was lead follow or get out of the way. Right?
Later on, it's the separatists and all that nonsense.
Yeah,
which was always the funny part
because
it was always funny that they used the quote unquote separatist as their excuse to make the Empire happen, essentially through the Clone Wars. But then you end up separatists end up being the backers of the rebellion. So it's so like not just the Trade Federation basically gets wiped out eventually, but. Yeah, it's just interesting. Like, I think people were more interested in what Clone Wars did than what the movies later did. You know, building out the story between movies, which is a good way for the series to work. And that's also where I think that Marvel is messing up a bit. And I've talked about that before. But
so we're in agreement on the first three. We all like it so far.
I do.
Yes, I will say yes.
Rob reframed it. Rob reframed it in his mind.
On a rewatch, yes, I will say yes.
Yeah. So a lot of times that's what it takes is to get reframed. All right, so
we're all in agreement that She-Hulk is filler trash.
No.
Okay.
No.
What Waiting about and seeing? But I do love the pacing.
What about House of the Dragon? Are we all caught up on there?
Yep.
All right.
The one with the newest one was the time skip, right?
Yeah. So the 10-year time skip, which to me, I thought they're going a little faster than I expected them to, because they're still going to have to do more seasons. Or at least one. No, they do, because they've already said the younger actresses have said that they're possibly in talks right now to come back to film flashbacks for next season. So
I'm gonna say something like it's gonna be sound weird, but try to think it through how I verbally paint this and to see if it makes sense, because it finally clicked in with me. The young, what's her name? Valeria? Is that her name?
No.
What's her name? The blonde, the main lady.
Rhaenyra?
Yeah,
her. Just call her Ray. It's easy.
Okay. No, I'm not going to do that because, So Rhaenyra, the actress. Like
I know you don't like her face.
And it finally clicked what it is. It finally clicked what it is. Look at her face. Look at around her mouth. Like from her nose to her chin and her cheeks to her cheeks. She looks like a toy where you can remove the mouth and put in a different face sculpt. Like how her face is set right there, it looks like it's not pushed all the way back into socket. Like it looks like somebody has a big old wad of glue behind that mouth swap and it's just in the way. Like if you have any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from NECA, if you have Muckman, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How you could pop his mouth off and there's like a hole there and you can push the new mouth in. It's just like it's not set all the way back in there. She's not ugly.
No.
I'm not saying she's ugly. First of all, she's a blonde, so she's already out of my book. I don't fuck with blondes. That's not my thing. But she's not ugly. It's just her whole entire mouth is set really forward, and I don't mean like she has buck teeth. I mean like her whole mouth area.
She has a Well, I said she had kind of I said she had a very pursed lips, like they just
when she
it wasn't
like
on
opens
purpose.
Her mouth
it's just the way it is.
Yeah, when she like opens her mouth to smile, she looks like when a great white's jaws come out to grab the food,
where the mouth is separate from the lips.
Yeah, like it totally shifts forward. Hers shifted forward and got stuck that way. She's like when your grandma told you not to cross your eyes because they'll get stuck that way.
Sure,
her mouth did that. Like it's that's what it is. It's that that removable quality. Like I want to just reach in there and pull it off and put a smiling mouth in there, or put in the screaming face. Like could face swap your Transformers. Like I feel like I could just jaw swap her. Like it's very weird.
Yeah. So
but that's what it is. That's what's been putting me off, is that. And you see it really bad when she's on profile. Like you can see
I get what you mean.
What I'm talking about.
I do get what you mean. It doesn't bother me like it bothers you, but I get what you mean. I like where the story's going. Love the story. The intro to this episode.
It caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting the time jump.
So you didn't watch the preview, so you didn't know. Yeah, the preview showed the time skip. Yeah. So she gives birth to her third child. And then the queen summons or wants her baby for reasons. No spoilers. Just the queen wants to see the baby.
Yeah, Allison. And by the way, I love that actress. I used to love her on Bates Motel.
Oh yeah,
I love that actress that plays her.
So instead of just letting whatever doofy person from the fucking castle take the baby, she literally just gave birth. Like, she has to push the placenta out real quick before going. She gets dressed and walks her ass all the way up through the tower to go see Allison. Still dripping.
Literally leaving a trail of blood.
Yes. So it's like, a lot of people talk shit about Rhaenyra in the early days. Like, she was a little too soft. I was like, at no point has she shown us that she's soft. And now, as 10 years on, she's such a badass. She literally just gave birth. They don't really use painkillers. I mean, they could do milk of the poppy or whatever, what they call it. But that kind of fucks you up too far. But she gave birth, no pain stuff at all. And then her fucking, I don't want to call him a piece of shit, but he shows up after the fact, or her husband, to come in and check on, oh, you had the
piece of shit, because they have a whole agreement. Like, he was out banging his dudes.
Yeah, I know.
I love that conversation that she had with, you have your appetites, I have my appetites.
Yes.
We'll just get married.
Okay, yeah, so we haven't even talked about that. So we haven't talked about it in roughly 3 weeks. Like, the show has been getting better and better. I'm not a fan of how far they're skipping, but now that they're talking about doing flashbacks to fill in a little bit of the gap, like, okay, I'm okay with that, because like there is stuff that happened that we could go back to, but like, because I know enough of the story as I'm watching other channels discuss it. I don't want to be totally spoiled, but I want to know the stuff I'm missing, and so
have you listened to this week's Nerd Rage yet?
No, not the current one. No, I'll listen on
Bobby's
Saturdays.
Conversation about numbers is
that one. Okay, things. Yeah. So the previous conversation about the numbers.
Yeah, he kind of talks about it again on this one too.
Okay.
I love.
So I'm one of the people who lit into him about the previous week.
I didn't light into him, but immediately I was like, "No, Bobby, no!" It literally says it in big bold letters at the beginning of the first episode. The exact number of years.
And I told him, I was like, I know you have a problem with numbers to begin with. But I mean, at least you knew 17. You were just off by a factor of 10. It's like 17.
You're off by 1,000 years, but you're close.
Yeah, you're off by like 1,000 years, but you're fine.
And it's 200 years, not 700.
Yeah, either way, he's close.
But that's still that is one thing that's still kind of tripping me out, because my brain, because I've read the old books that are actually out, the ones that he made for the Songs of Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
And they do talk about the Targaryens having a longer lifespan.
Yeah.
But my brain still tries to fight against that, because they're talking about Aegon.
Dude, nobody in this show,
grandfather.
Dude, nobody in this show is alive in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but
they just recycle names.
Well, technically Aegon's not, because he's
dead. Jon Snow is Aegon the Fourth. So there's more people who will be Aegon. You got to remember, the Targaryens went up till the beginning or before Game of Thrones started.
Aegon doesn't necessarily mean the first. They're not saying he's the first.
No, I'm saying the Aegon that's in this show is the second. So Aegon the second.
So they're having their father and then him. Like, he's
there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of Targaryens between now and Game of Thrones. Well,
but that's what trips. It's hard to register that, because it's only a singular generation between the two shows. There's this generation, there's a Game of Thrones generation, and then there's one generation of Targaryens in between, because this Aegon, the little baby, is Jon Snow's grandfather, is Daenerys's grandfather. Like this is just the only generation between is his kids. And it's still a 200. Yep.
We'll have to check.
200-year gap.
No, but I'm saying we're gonna have to check because
Aegon is the Mad King. His kid is the one who's Daenerys' father.
This guy is not the Mad King.
Yes.
No. He's not Aegon. That was Aegon the Third, was their grandfather or their father.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm mislabeling the Mad King. So the third was that, but that's the only one in between.
No, the Mad King Aegon is Aegon the Third. This is Aegon the Second.
So this is Aegon the Second. Then Aegon Third is the Mad King, and then Daenerys. But
it doesn't mean that he didn't pass it on one generation later.
What I'm saying is there's only one gap in between. This is her grandfather.
Aegon's not. No.
I think it is, because they live longer in the books. They don't have normal lifespans like this. They live like 120, 150 years. Like they live longer.
But I think what you don't know is that there's a massive war at the end of this between the Targaryens.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of them make it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
But what I'm saying is, two spans like that would cover the 200-year gap. And my brain keeps fighting against that, because I know it from the books, but in the show, I'm like, this is just one generation separation between these two, but it seems like it should be a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, it's closer than you think, but there's no one from this show that is referenced at all in Game of Thrones. No one. So. I'm saying no one.
Isn't
alive.
the old man Isn't the old man the blind guy at the watch? Isn't he one of the little brothers?
No,
I'm pretty sure.
No, same name, but the Targaryens recycle their names constantly. Every other generation uses the name from before. That's why it's Aegon the Second. I don't know which Aemon this one is, but it's definitely not that one. And that's Aemond. That's the thing. It's like the one that's in this show is Aemond with a D at the end. That was Aemond.
We'll see by the end of it how they're gonna shake that out.
So,
but I know it's a lot closer than people think. But
you can literally
look up only a grandfather. Like to us, you say my grandfather. That's just the 60s. That's just the 50s. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
when they're saying my grandfather, and you're talking 200 years ago.
Yeah, but
all of a sudden now my grandfather was alive when the United States was founded.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
like
that's no. Yeah, no, because you can look up the exact family tree from here to Game of Thrones right now online.
But I'm still loving it. I'm not saying it as a negative. I just my brain wants to fight that thought process. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for a grandfather to be alive 200 years ago.
Yeah, just remember nobody from this show is remotely alive in the next one, unless it's somebody like the. Maybe the three-eyed raven.
The shoemaker's elves.
Yeah. But, okay, so I just want to talk about real quick in this last episode, we saw what should be the largest dragon in existence. And
that's what they say.
And she didn't look that big, realistically. Now, the reason I say that is because that final shot where the particular thing happens.
Which was super fucked up.
No, it makes sense though, because apparently
I know, but I wasn't expecting it.
No, yeah.
I thought they were gonna do a low-key spoilers, guys. I thought they were gonna do like a Daenerys with the eggs in the first in Game of Thrones. I thought it was gonna be something like that, and she was gonna step out and be fine.
No, because she's not a Targaryen, she's a Valyrian. So most Targaryens are fireproof.
Right.
Non-Targaryen.
So what if the baby had still been there?
I thought about that too, but the funny thing,
fucked.
So they actually changed from what it was in the book. Like she still meets her end, but differently. So apparently they managed to deliver the child in the book, but it was all twisted and deformed and fucked up. So something happened there,
like they did with the grayscale in the first series.
Yeah. So what they did here was they wanted it to mirror the king's first wife, who so they wanted Daemon to basically get his comeuppance there in a way. So we're like, look, you got to make the same decision your brother did, the one that you made fun of. So what now? So she took the decision out of his hands. But my whole point was we got to see Vhagar, who's the currently the oldest dragon, therefore the largest at this point.
He looks beat up and old.
Yeah,
too. They did a great job with the design.
So right now she's the one of the only living things, actually the only living thing that was there for the conquering of Westeros. So she's one of the 3 dragons that the Targaryens used to conquer Westeros. So she's Balerian's sister, in a way. So there were 3 dragons.
Hatchmate.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if they were directly related, but also she had babies with Balerion. So at this point, she is supposedly as big as he. Well, maybe there's some more time skip coming, but she, in her part of the story, while she's here, she's supposed to be as big as Balerion was when he died. So, like, she was smaller 100 years ago, you know. So
but now she's grown.
Now she's grown.
Growing.
Yeah, because as long as they're outside and they have food, dragons keep
as
growing.
Long as they have food
until
and room,
they're too big.
Growing.
Until they get to the square cube.
They're like beta fish. The smaller the tank, the smaller the fish.
Yeah. So what happened to Balerion? The reason, and we talked about this originally because you were talking about how, and we haven't been able to catch up since. Viserys was the last person to ride Valerian or Balerion, and at that point he apparently had to like really get him riled up to even move. So apparently, like he had so old, so big, and had been in the dragon pit so long, not out, you know, getting exercise. He basically
was in a retirement home.
He basically laid there all day, not doing anything. Viserys managed to get him stirred up, got him to allow him to ride. But at this point, he'd been through so much, he'd probably let anybody ride him. And then he only managed like 3 laps around King's Landing and then never flew again. So, you know, while you say he was the last person to ride that, majestic creature, you know, it wasn't much. But the thing is, I mean, he died naturally too. He's like, I think he was supposed to be the last dragon that died of natural causes, or the only one on record that dies of natural causes, or just age, because he was like several hundred years old by the time he died. So you know, it's pretty cool. So Vhagar, which we'll see a lot of in this series, we get to see it flying next to Daemon. So his wife was the rider of Vhagar in this one, and unfortunately she's not anymore.
But the way I went with it with his size, like trying, because even then it's hard. They're in motion, they're in the sky, they're moving, they're flexing, they're bending, they're this, they're that. It's hard to pick up a good scale on it. But what I went by was when Daemon landed his dragon on the side of that fucking castle, like in episode 2 or 3, whatever it was. That motherfucker was massive there. And then you see it next to this dragon, and it's like the whole entire dragon's like the size of this dragon's fucking wing.
Yeah, you can't even see all
like
of
it's
Vhagar.
Massively different. Yeah. Like it's like at no point in time do you see the whole dragon like up close
in one shot.
Frame.
So
like the only time you see it full bodied was a really long distance shot, and we'll see Daemon's dragon looked like a little fucking speck next to it.
Yeah, so we'll see her more next episode apparently, because another big event happens in next episode. And
stop watching those previews, man. You're spoiling
well, it's not even from the previews. It's actually from the previews do give it away, but no, you know, watching these channels who are discussing the story. But apparently, like from the stories, Balerion before he died would basically like his wings in flight would black out an entire village. Like he was supposed to be that big. But, you know, obviously stories be what they are. You can't physically make something that large and convince it to be written by a human. Which at that point, what I'm more interested in seeing is some of the other dragons that are supposed to be in this series, since I watched the whole thing about that. There are wild dragons, not just tamed ones. And they're on Dragonstone. So hopefully we'll get to see those in this story because they do play a part in it.
Dude, that pig thing cracked me up.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that sets off a whole chain of events coming up.
Oh yeah. Well, we know it's always going to be.
It's about to get bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, we know it's about to turn.
Oh, I do want to see Aegon's dragon.
I gotta say, it made me laugh.
Yeah,
it cracked me up a little. Like that's super
they carried him basically is what happened. So Aegon apparently has like a dragon that's like essentially solid gold with silver eyes. So that'll be an interesting one to see if they bring it out. You know, we'll see more dragons in the show, but either way, I'm liking it, and I think it is slightly better than the Lord of the Rings show, but the Lord of the Rings show is getting better, even though it's only got a couple. On the Lord of the Rings show.
I still haven't picked it up from when I woke up halfway through episode 2.
Yeah,
like I had no compunction to go back and finish it, and that's usually a big tell with me. but I might wait until it's all done and then just do it all in one shot. That might let me enjoy it a little more.
Yeah.
Like
I
think that's
I've been watching
ones...
it day of, so I agree. It's been quite good in getting better at, because
it's a slow
we
build.
know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen for certain things, but
yeah,
there are some elements like
they're weaving a mystery around so many characters, because right now
several things. The stranger with the Harfoots, what's going to happen when they reach Middle
Sauron?
Earth.
No.
Well,
the thing is, we
don't
know.
I've not even watched since episode 2, and I already know stuff because I hear.
Well,
there's certain
nobody
speculation
knows
around ANDOR and whether or not he is
ANDOR
Sauron.
could be Sauron, even though he got really angry when somebody called him Sauron
and killed him.
Yeah.
So that's the one that everybody's like, that's got to be Sauron. That's the only reason why
so,
I got pissed
well, the thing is that Sauron isn't ugly in his mortal quote unquote form. He's supposed to be like very, very beautiful.
Yeah, like, it's J.R.R. Tolkien. It's an analog for Satan. It's supposed to be like a fallen angel.
Right. So the thing is that with the stranger, that character doesn't exist in the books. So one thing that they've talked about is that he's either the biggest thing is they think he's Gandalf, but he would be arriving. Right. He would be arriving way too early in the story, if that's the truth. Now the Starfall thing that he came from is in the thing, but it is not related to Gandalf at all. So Gandalf doesn't come till way later, like even after the Blue Wizards, I guess. But, it just depends. But they've also rewritten a bunch of the other stuff, which is why the Tolkien nerds are all up in arms. It's like, just
I know they're not going to change too much because what's his face is a huge fucking nerd.
Yeah, but they're narratively they're changing, like the whole thing that happened.
The beats,
yeah. Well, no, they changed in this episode. They changed how the light of the Silmarils has tied in. Apparently, that entire thing they put into this show completely made up. So but it's interesting what they did with it narratively.
It is a different origin.
They fictionalized it by all.
So they're trying to quote unquote fix what I think is wrong with the books.
I don't know if it's a fix so much as they just want it to be narratively interesting. So they tied.
They're trying to give a correlation to these things between the Silmarils and Mithril, and the reason why why only some elves remained and the rest all went
back
away.
Yeah. Why some still are somewhat immortal. Yeah. So
correct. And so they're trying to find a way to tie all that together, but also find a way to tell the story of how during the Second Age, the Sauron was basically forced back, even though he had the upper hand. And we have yet to see the entire element of, or really anything of rings to begin with. Of power
the so-called rings of power are going to be the last thing that happened in this show, probably.
Right, exactly. But in the same respect, like we're getting a lot of backstory,
but we have to get there.
A lot of the history.
I mean, right? Yeah. We got a very. Well, I was gonna say we got a very short monologue about the Rings of Power in the first Lord of the Rings, and then we only saw what happened because of them. But now we're getting probably the reason for them, and we do know that they're building this great forge, which entirely could be where the Rings of Power are all made, because they never actually spelled that out, as far as I know. And then in theory, where they're building it could become Mordor down the line. We know where Mordor is going to be due to this story. I like all that tie-in. I think that the money is definitely on the screen. I know I talked about some dodgy CGI in the last one, but then I realized they also built a small fleet of ships to actually be on screen. So, I mean, I can't bitch too much. I mean, like the thing is, like, so much of the show in the background is CGI. It has to be, because these things can't possibly exist, but you can't tell what's real and what's not on the screen most of the time. Like, it's fucking nuts. Now, the wolves in this episode, definitely CG. Like, there's like, you get past a little bit of unbelievability there. Oh, I did want to mention this about ANDOR. Hold on, let me get this point out real quick. ANDOR, first episode when the not Wally robot is going through the town and encounters the dogs or the whatever. I think those were dogs in costumes with CGI heads because they walked like real dogs and everything else moved like real dogs would do. So I think they might be pulling an Alien 3 on us and actually putting a dog in a costume.
Nice.
So, and they just CG on the head so the dog doesn't freak out.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that because
go back and watch.
Now I'm questioning that.
Yeah, go back and watch that. I think that is a real robot interacting on a real street with real dogs, just in costume. Trained dogs, mind you, but still. Because if you watch their legs, I was like, I think they're fucking real dogs. Like they're just in a dog suit, as it were.
That'd be pretty cool if it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can mocap dogs, no problem.
Now, mind you, again, I'm still back in episode 2, but I do remember one of you were talking about the rough CG. The one that stood out to me was this is total green room. Was the
green room
the part where Galadriel was talking to the king. You know, when he's like, I'm going to give you your great reward, you know, trying to shut her up, going to send her off to the island or whatever.
Yeah.
That whole part looked like they were just standing on a big green screen.
Yeah.
Like
the
lighting was off. The background.
True. Yeah.
Weird.
The lighting was off. The background.
I have a reason
was
for
very
that.
soft filter. Yeah.
I do have a.
It was very weird looking.
I have a reasoning for that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think when it comes to anything with the elves, everything's going to look a little weird. Remember how Rivendell looked? Like,
but they had that glow kind of.
I know, but it had it had a glowy, out of focus look for everything, and
which is fine. That's not what I'm talking about.
I know, but I'm saying, like, I feel like, well, because a lot of that was there was like a kind of sunsetty, like orangey look to it. One, lighting is so important, which is why I say that She-Hulk looks like shit, because they did not match the lighting on her skin properly to everyone else, and I feel like I'm waiting for the YouTube videos of I fixed your CGI, all these people who do that kind of shit, because that's all it is. Like, She-Hulk in the first episode, and maybe a little bit into the second one, like when she's on the island with Bruce, they spent all their time and money making that look damn near perfect. And then every episode since, they can't get the lighting right. Like, that's all it is. It comes down to her skin.
It's natural lighting. It's also natural lighting versus fake lighting too.
Well,
it's
not
one. They're all outside in the sun, and
in the lab, but in the lab exactly she looked
the light source is.
Yeah, but in the lab where everything is CG, essentially, she looked 100% real. But even like to me,
because everything was fake.
Yeah, everything is fake. Therefore, it looks perfect. But it's actually the way the light hits her skin and everything else like that makes it weirder. So.
And I think it has to do my same argument against cell shaded figures. When you have a cell shading and you have a reflective surface, it forces where the light is. It forces motion. When they were outside, the light source is directly fucking overhead because it's the goddamn sun. So everything should be lit the same way. When you're inside a board, like let's say in the office areas. Yeah,
but all of those have stark lighting. They have stark lighting from a directional light. Directional light's easiest.
Yeah, no, anytime when she's in an outdoor or well lit setting, it does look off. And
it's actually
based on the shadows and the textures that are.
Think about her in her office, the big giant beige white office that she has.
Yeah,
and have the fake lighting. Yeah. And then they also have these big, huge windows with natural light coming through.
Yeah.
That to me is where she looks the flattest and grossest because they have multiple light sources and their reflections are only showing one of them.
But the thing is, with that stuff,
correct,
because all they do is replicate the lighting. They know with CG, when it comes to that stuff, they have their on-set lighting.
Is what I'm saying.
I know, but what I'm saying, it's not matching.
Doing it from the correct direction. That's
it's not. It's not that. But it's actually not that. It's actually her skin is not reflecting properly. Because you can look at everyone else in the same scene with her. Their skin is reflecting properly. Most people look a little sweaty. Even when they're wearing a lot of makeup, there's a certain type of reflection. It's not that the lighting is wrong on her. It's not the direction is wrong. It's how it's bouncing off of her. You're right. It makes her look, it makes her look flat. I'm telling you technically what's going on.
But I think it's also where it's coming from, and I'm going to give you an exact scenario in your head and think it through. Is when she's standing in front of her desk talking to the lady sitting in front of her friend
Nikki.
All right, there is a light source over her head, which is the lighting in the room.
Yeah,
there is a light source to her left, which is the big window,
which is a big window
shining through it.
Yeah,
but she's reflecting on her right. If you look at
there's also light coming from outside, and there's also reflected lighting. This is the thing about it.
But there's not lighting coming from that direction, because we've seen a 360 of her office. The only glass over there is by her door, which is at the other end of the room, not the wall right next to her.
Internal windows.
The door right next to her is like a bookshelf.
Yeah,
like right next to where she's standing at. There should be nothing reflecting from over there.
Well,
that's the ones I'm talking about. You're right about that. It's almost like the refraction of the sweat. It doesn't exist because she doesn't sweat.
That's the problem. But here's the thing: if you go back and watch the scenes in the first episode, they actually nail it. Like, that's the thing. Even
because there's only one light source. It's
no.
overhead. You can't mess it up.
No, because in the lab where it's dim lighting and there's red, blue, it's polished. The thing is, her hair also isn't reflecting light properly. It's not necessarily the direction.
Correct.
Like, the thing is,
have oils in her hair, like
everything. Like, there should be so much more going on with her. She looks very flat. And like, even some of the up close.
What's really sad is somebody else. Yeah, what's really sad is somebody else in a review said that. Well, they'll probably maybe they'll fix it when the series gets.
If they have time to put on Blu-ray or something.
When the series is right.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. And I'm like, that's kind of be a slap in the face.
It feels like they should have
overtime and doing all that.
It should have been more polished.
If they take it should have. Well, the problem is again timing. Should they have taken more time on it?
It depends on how we don't know how long they took to do it. That's the other thing. We don't know. It's
exactly.
We know that they polished it. It's
kind of be a slap in the face to the digital artists who put the effort in, who is trying their hardest to make the product actually look good.
Right.
But now they're being panned because it doesn't pass muster, and it really doesn't pass the test of a lot of people, even fans that are like would be like, well, this is really good because the CGI is really good.
So
it's kind of like oof, it's that oof moment where you're like, oh, that work.
So to give it like a word, picture that you guys listening can actually try this at home, and it'll make more sense. But take a picture of She-Hulk, color her outfit with crayon, color her skin with a marker, and then color her hair with oil paints, and just look at how all those look slightly different. The crayon's going to reflect a little. The marker's going to reflect a little, and the oils and the paints are going to reflect a little.
Saturation is different.
I think her
exactly. It's her clothes. Effect.
I think her clothes are actually on point, but I think that the rest of it's not.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem is, and this is something they killed it with like Thanos and like his goons and whatnot. Like there's such a thing as subsurface scattering. It's the way light absorbs into your skin and it kind of adds a glow. Unfortunately, what they've done with her is like that isn't really there. It's like light's hitting her and it's just stopping and just it comes out flat. So, but the thing is, they nail it in that early episode. Even with Hulk, like Hulk, they've had 10 years with that model at bare minimum. The new, and then a few years at least with Smart Hulk to really develop it out. And they put their money in that first episode because they wanted everybody to look at the nice shiny new trailer. And mind you, she wasn't even in like a pantsuit. She's in a different rock and roll t-shirt, different pair of shorts, whatever, to wear it. So they kept changing her outfits. They kept changing her hairdo. They changed her makeup in almost every other scene in that first episode. And it didn't matter what the lighting situation was. They got it right. In this one, what makes it even worse is when it's in a dimly lit indoor setting, like when she's at the bar. That's really when it looks bad. Because it's not matching.
She's super reflective, and she shouldn't be.
No, it's not even that. She actually looks dimmer. She looks softer than she should. Like other people are still reflecting. Like, and the other thing is something we never think about, and this is a super technical thing, is that so many other surfaces are giving us light reflections than we don't even think about it. My desk sitting in front of me right now and my computer sitting right in front of me are both reflecting light back at me from above.
And differently because
it's a different surface
and a black metal on the outside, so it's a different kind of metal, different glass versus metal. It's a paint on it, it's not paint on it.
But it's also the fact that you are lit from more than one direction at any given point, unless you're in a pitch black room holding one light on your face. And I agree. Yeah. So agreed. I mean,
but what I'm saying is they're missing.
I get what I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is probably the main reason you think it's that way is because it's not reflecting off of her properly. It's not that the direction is wrong. I mean, maybe in one or two scenes they get it off, but Like most, because her clothes are doing it
The
properly.
saturation,
Her
the
skin
bounce,
is
the
incorrect.
reflection,
The bounce back
But
is
if you
wrong.
think about her, but
Yeah.
if you brought up her clothes a couple times, but if you think about her clothes when she's in Hulk, they're very muted. Like,
well, she wore
flat,
a
like
really
it's
pink
flat
dress
gray,
in this one.
like flat gray, or it's black with white spots. Like
she has a very vibrant costume coming.
How bad did that look?
I gotta wonder if they're doing this on purpose, and then as soon as she gets her suit, she's gonna look really good. Yeah, because we haven't seen her in her purpose-built She-Hulk suit or her costume yet.
And they're just leaving that Daredevil teaser alone, aren't they? We all know.
I think it's next week.
We saw the pictures of them. Then last week they teased it, and then this week they didn't do shit with it.
And that's all they wanted to do, because they didn't want to do cameo after cameo after cameo after cameo. So they gave us.
But they're doing cameo after cameo. Every single episode has had a cameo of somebody.
Not this one, and the last one didn't.
Titania.
She's not a cameo. She's a character in the show.
She is.
She's a character in this show.
But they're forcing it like this. Her storyline is dumb.
It's supposed to be. She came up with a rivalry for She-Hulk. Like, she purposely did that shit. And I guarantee you, she fell on her face on purpose in this episode. She did not fucking slip. She looked at the people with their fucking phones and then slipped and fell on her face. So she did that shit on purpose for whatever reason. So, you know, she's already doing whatever. And of course, I still have the whole getting her blood plot line in here. But let's move on from. We went back to She-Hulk, so let's keep moving forward at least. But
yes, you guys are enjoying Lord of the Rings. I was trying to say when we were talking about it is I'm gonna treat it kind of like how we told Mike with Moon Knight. I'm gonna wait till it's all done.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna watch it, because here's my problem. I have never watched the full Lord of the Rings movies. Like, I've seen The Return of the King probably closest to completion out of all of them.
Wow.
Because I find the walking very boring. Like, very boring. Like, unimportant. I don't need to see blades of grass moving for 45 minutes. It doesn't move the story. All you're showing me is what you can do cinematically. And I get it. It's beautiful. It was a great job. I'm not taking away from Peter Jackson, but they didn't spend. I own the books and I've read them, and Tolkien is he gets into minute details, but he gets into it and he moves on. He doesn't talk about every single blade of grass moving for 30 pages at a time. He just zooms in and tells you every blade of grass is moving, so you can build that in your head, and then moves on to the next thing. So those parts are very, very boring to me and unnecessary. It's just, that's filler stuff. The conversations that are happening are important, but those happen in between long bouts of walking. To me, that first episode and the part of the second episode that I saw was their walking. So maybe if I wait until the whole fucking thing's done, I can walk in and know, okay, they're going to get done walking here by episode 3. I can just thug my way through it and then get into the actual meat and potatoes of it. I'll probably enjoy it then. But that's how I'm treating it now.
Right.
Is I'm just treating those first 2 as the walking parts, waiting for the whole damn thing. And I'm just going to sit down and just thug my way to the good stuff and then enjoy it. I'm not going to hate it, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to bother right now, because I can't force myself to thug through that, get to a good part, and then have to wait week to week. But if I can thug through that part and have everything available afterwards, I'll enjoy it more.
Okay. All right. So
that's my plans. That's my plans on that.
Yeah. So since we're running out of time, let me finish this up real quick. So the last thing that I watched over the last 3 weeks that we haven't really been talking, I got through all 10 seasons of Letterkenny and caught up,
which I just started.
Yes,
which I just started, and is a Shoky is right.
Thank you.
It is hilarious. It's the Dukes of Hazzard, but in Canada.
Barely. Because the Dukes of Hazzard had bigger plot lines.
I was I was immediately finding some really good correlations.
There are,
and then having an even better laugh out of it. Yeah.
Now the way to really laugh about it is, well, okay. So what episode have you left off on, number wise?
So I'm currently on. I am on episode 4, season 1.
So you got through Fart Book.
I got past Fart Book. Yes.
Okay, Fart Book was
more than funny enough. So
I always tell everybody you got to get past Fart Book. And like I said, Fart Book is exactly what you think it is. It's like, now this show does do subversion. It does. But what it does more than anything than being funny is it has a lot of heart to it. Now that heart gets buried under all of the hilarity and then random situations, especially around Stewart and the Skids. There's a lot of really insane shit that happens with them over the 10 fucking seasons. Like I said on the last real episode we did, this is the best show that you've never heard of that has 10 seasons and 2 spinoffs. I missed the other spinoff. Because they have Little Kenny as well, which is animated shorts about how they met as kids. And I think it is voiced by them pretending to be kids.
Do you get like a Trailer Park Boys vibe from this show? Like it's along that line?
I've never watched it, but I would say there might be some of that similar Canadian humor to it. But
I'm not even saying Canadian humor like that feel to the show. Like it's like one of those.
I don't think it's like that.
Shows.
No, it doesn't feel like that, and it doesn't feel like Schitt's Creek either.
I can't tell you what this show is like. That's the problem. The way I put it in our chat, I said you will either absolutely think this is one of the best shows you've ever seen, or you'll want to have nothing to do with it.
Right.
And
actually, I found it closer to Kids in the Hall.
Okay. I could see that. So it is very much a sitcom because they do find themselves in situations where funny things happen. That's the literal definition of it.
Situational comedy.
Yes. So, but the characters themselves, every character is fleshed out. Like even the 2 Skids in the background that I don't think really ever say anything. I think they've said 10 words across 10 seasons. And I only just found their names in like one of the last episodes I just watched. Like all of them, their motivations are clear. Their character quirks are clear. Okay, so Rob, who at the moment, just barely getting into it, who would you say is your favorite character so far?
No, Wayne so far.
Okay, so that's on purpose.
Plays it flat, straight out. I know it's on purpose,
yeah.
But
so
let me get farther before I start changing my mind.
Yeah, you're fine. So now, if I had to say good luck if you make this realization. Good luck ever seeing Wayne as anybody but Sean. So go look at Sean. Go look at Sean in a dress shirt. Go look at Sean in a dress shirt. Yeah. So I think Wayne is the most formed character because he's the creator of the show. Jared Kiso. Yeah. But what's really crazy? So not only have I watched that, I watched the spinoff Shorzy. Which you haven't been introduced to Shorzy yet. It's going to be a while till Shorzy shows up. I had already been introduced to him because I was shown the Shorzy clips from the show. And you never see his face. You only see the back of his head or his ass. So
he's Wilson.
He's like Wilson. But even Shorzy's final episode in the show, you don't see his face. You nearly do. But spoilers, he's voiced and played by the same guy as Wayne. Nice. And then in the spinoff, he's playing him on screen. But he's grown a beard. He's got his hair long and slicked back. And he speaks in a different accent. And he has his eyes open. So, but the thing is, as Wayne's pretty much one note until some very special stuff happens, and then you see him really kind of perk up. Shorzy, he is flexing his acting chops, and Shorzy is the most I've ever cared about a hockey team since the Mighty Ducks. So imagine, okay, so Shorzy is the Mighty Ducks if the Mighty Ducks were all drunken adult Canadians. I mean, in the movies. In the movies. So imagine them all growing up and being that way. It's such a good show. The finale, I was in, or the finale of this season, I was in tears. I was like,
the quick wit is really just, it's on point.
Yeah.
And and you don't even have to there are so many good lines, even from just the first 3
episodes. The first episode when Riley and Jonesy show up at the beginning of episode 1.
Yes.
And Wayne gives them shit. Or they all give them shit, realistically. Wayne and Derry give them shit from the moment they show up. And then Katie comes out and you're just like, okay. And by the way, Katie only gets hotter. I don't know how it's possible. She gets hotter as the series goes on. It's like, Jesus Christ.
And what streaming service is this on?
Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a YouTube series. So on YouTube, it was called Letterkenny Problems. So it was short, fairly short-lived over there. So they created it there, and then it was picked up on Crave TV or something like that. I guess it's a Canadian.
It was Crave, or it was one of those like
something. It's something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a Canadian streaming service, and then it got bought by Hulu.
Yeah, ITV or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So by the final season, it's represented slightly different, and Shorzy's represented entirely different as well. And by the way, you have repeat actors in Shorzy. So the guy who plays what's his name? Glenn. So have you been introduced to Glenn? Yeah, Glenn was in the episode when they went to the church.
Was in the first.
So they quote unquote pastor of that church, and then like Glenn's character he's the main producer of the show, so he's been part of the comedic duo since the beginning.
I gotcha.
And so he pops up again as a bit part in Shorzy. And it's so funny because he's got a very fake mustache and a very fake toupee on, but he's clearly the same guy. But the only real thing they change is that he speaks nothing but French. So
I love that. Like they showed up in the church, and he's like, "Well, shape."
Yeah, dude.
I ain't never seen this many angry people come in.
Just
like, oh my God.
Just wait. Just wait to see how Glenn's character develops, dude. So the
bartender also cracks me up.
Gail, I cannot. Gail is so much cringe.
Oh my gosh.
She is the definition of cringe from the moment she starts on screen.
Right.
It gets worse. Oh no, Fart Book was pretty bad. No. Oh, okay. So there's an episode coming up. I forget which season it's in because I binge watched the whole damn series, where they come into some money. I think it's in the second season. They come into some money and they do a Shark Tank ripoff. So where people are throwing ideas at them to spend their money. And it's fucking hilarious. So it's all their friends coming in. All their friends come in to bid a different thing, and I won't spoil what they say. But the funny thing is, a character is on screen doing the kind of announcer bit for like introducing stuff as though they're on a TV show, and they 100% acknowledge that she's doing it. And they're like, why are you doing that? Because like there's no cameras. It's not like The Office, So it's so weird. Like the show breaks the fourth wall sometimes, but it doesn't. It's like a 3.5 wall.
Yeah, it has moments of elucidation to real world isms.
Yeah,
and it doesn't in a way like South Park used to do back in the early days.
And so
it works. Yeah.
So did you hear that? So by now, have you heard the story about the ginger and the ostrich?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm currently
I can't remember when
it's at the position of whether or not it's 2 or 3 people
involved. Oh, okay. So we do eventually get to see the ginger on screen.
Oh my gosh.
So
wait for that.
The show just gets better. Like I could not stop watching.
It is absolutely hilarious, and I like Ricky. It would be in your.
It would be in Ricky's wheelhouse. Yes.
It would definitely be in your wheelhouse. For sure.
So with that out of the way, I did get some stuff, but we're on a time crunch here, so I'll talk about that.
You're good. Run it down real quick.
Well, Rob's got less time than you. It's fine. I just
Go ahead.
We have the same amount of time.
Exactly, and that's coming up quickly because we do have a discussion at the end.
He's escaping the flying cows.
Yes. So either way, I just got Planet X Insecticons. Yay! I need to review them. Haven't even got to play with them. Just took them out of the box and looked at them. I got my April O'Neil from NECA. Whoop-de-doo, I already have one, so I may or may not be sending that off to another reviewer to check out. And I don't know if I mentioned it. I showed it to you guys, but I don't think I've been able to talk about it here. I did get the Universal Monsters Ninja Turtles crossover Mummy Mikey. So, but I haven't got to even do anything with it. I put it on the shelf because I found it the day I had to get started on Double October. Haven't found Hudson yet. We went into that. I've been looking, haven't found him. And due to the fact that the mothers-in-law came by last weekend, or the previous weekend, I cleaned up in here. So, like, I can see the floor now for the first time since we moved in.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had to put stuff back on shelves. I got things organized, actually threw away some shit that I didn't need anymore. I am getting rid of some things. But like, also I'm really getting tired of Hamato Yoshi falling off the fucking shelf. He will not stay up. And I even put him on a stand and he just fell over anyways. So getting real tired of that. I think it's just the angle I have him at, and I need to check that shelf and make sure it's actually level and not tilting forward a little, because that would explain why so many take nosedives. That shelf has a little bit of a lean to it, and then the wifey slams the door that's on the other side. So, and April O'Neil, either of the two new ones, still fall over, even though they're on fucking action bases. So I think I'm gonna glue her feet to the stand or something. I don't know. It's annoying. Either way, we got to end this. You guys got to go. Yes, I know. Sorry.
We do have to bounce. No, it's cool.
We are way over time for you guys. So either way, we'll wrap this up.
I always have fun with these.
Yes. And it's the first time we've been able to sit down and do a real episode in roughly 3 weeks. So it is what it is. We got a lot of catch up to doing English. So skip all the promo stuff. You guys should know it by now. Everything's in the description down below. And we'll just leave off on bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, all.
I was wondering why you were waiting.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.